Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? When I was trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and other places people like to listen? How do I make money from my podcast? The answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with the great sponsors too, so you can get paid to podcast. So when me and Monique were starting this podcast, we all had a lot of different options that we were going for, but Anchor was the easiest to use because of the fact that we can actually record from our phones. If we're on the go, if there's something that's happening right then and there, we can go live and just record a show right from there. So if you wanted to start a podcast, make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast. All right, had to make sure they let us log in. It's been so long since we did a show.
You are now tuned into FNL Radio.
For cover, motherfucker.
You are now tuned to FNL Live with Doc and Monique. Time to laugh your ass off.
You are now tuned.
Hey, what is up, everybody, and welcome back, everyone. It's FNL Radio. It's your boy Doc. Got Monique on the other end as well.
Well, hello, all my loves. How's everybody doing out there tonight?
Yes, people, it's been forever. It has been since 2019. We're in the new year now, so welcome to 2020, everybody. Happy New Year. Happy new decade of FNL. And we're just happy to be back, everyone, because it's been so long that we have missed you all. We have, you know how me and Monique do. We all part a show, and then when it's time to record a show, we're a little older now, so the show's still we just talk behind the scenes. We just don't talk in front of you all because we're working people, retired, we're older.
Yes, you guys can catch us on Twitter more
Yes.
so than anything else. Like Reggie said, we have gotten older. I will be 40, God willing, this year in June. So when the shows go off, when the tea is spilling, sometimes I may be taking a nap. And and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. But we are definitely happy to be back with you guys on tonight. So again, happy belated Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy New Year, Happy 4th of July, all those things that we have missed in between. But we are glad to be back with you guys tonight.
Yes, everyone. And as Monique stated too, people, now you all know if you listen to us, and I do appreciate you all too, because you all have still been listening to the older episodes. So I definitely thank you all for listening to those older episodes. And then also thank you all for catching up with us on social media, because more so than me, Monique gets in trouble on social media. So
They might take my Twitter account away.
So Monique has not been blocked yet, but or reported. But if you want to follow us on social media, everybody, whenever there's a show, because y'all know we watch all the shows. And there's been plenty of some interesting shows we've been watching this last year as well. But if you want to catch us on social media, everybody on Twitter, me, Mr. Doc MRDOC, Monique at CookieLove1980, and FNL Radio on Facebook, Facebook.com/FNL Radio. So you can catch us on those platforms, everybody, more so on Twitter, because that's where all the drama and all the Monique's fights go down, people, since 2016.
Yes. And to give you guys a little bit of what we've been watching and how you guys can keep up with us. So on Sundays, we are avid watchers of 90 Day Fiance. We also loved and it's not on now, but when a new season comes on, we got into Welcome to Plathville.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure, but we're hoping that they get picked up for a second season. That show was also on TLC. It came on Tuesday nights. We also now what this past Friday, new season of Love After Lockup started. So you guys can definitely catch us on Friday night at 9 o'clock on Twitter as well. So we've definitely, like you said, we love the shows. So uh, you guys can definitely catch us on Twitter. Like I said, we still watch, Real Housewives of Atlanta. We still watch Married to Medicine. They just wrapped up part 3 of their reunion. I have on Watch What Happens Live now, and Cynthia is up here along with Bevy Smith. We don't really tweet about those shows though, but we are still watching those things. But definitely, we're avid watchers of 90 Day Fiance. We love, love, love that show. Love After Lockup, love, love, love that show as well. So definitely catch us up on Twitter, and we decided to come on up here on this Good Sunday night because we watched I guess this is what considered the second part of Surviving R. Kelly, The Reckoning. So we wanted to come up here, just like we did last year when it came out. I wanted to come up here and share some of our thoughts and our opinions about what we saw come across our HD screen.
Exactly. But before we get into that, people, again, happy belated Christmas and all those different holidays. Now, for my Latin American people and for my Spanish people, it's Three Kings on January 6th, Three Kings Day. So for me, I celebrate Three Kings Day as well because I have some Spanish in my family, and then I also had a Spanish ex back in the day. So I was like, oh, that's a cheat code to celebrate Christmas a little longer. So if you still got Christmas gifts you need to get, you still got your tree up, don't fret, people. It's okay to still have your tree up for Three Kings Day. For those who don't know what Three Kings Day is, in the Gospel of Matthew, the three kings find baby sweet Jesus following the path of a star across the desert for 12 days. And according to the Gospel, the three kings traveled to Bethlehem to bring gifts of gold and everything just to celebrate the birth of sweet baby Jesus. So continue your celebrations, everybody. It's okay to still have your tree up and still pass on gifts, everyone. I know I still got some gifts to get people. Monique, one day I will get you a gift.
Well, that's cute. I've never gotten one in all these years. Don't expect to get one in 2020 or 2021, 2022. None of that. So that's okay. Keep your gift.
Look, it's our milestone years, everybody, because I'm turning 30, Monique's turning 40. So we got to turn up on FNL this year because it's our milestone years, everybody. So I'll make sure to get you a gift. People. I'm sipping on this mixture of ginger ale, Canada Dry, and apple cider. But anyway, so Christmas was really good, everybody. Had a nice little Christmas. This was the first year ever in my life that I finished Christmas shopping 2 weeks before Christmas. Usually I'm shopping up till the day of Christmas on Christmas Eve before 6 p.m. before the stores close. I'm out there at Kohl's during their 24 hours opening because I'm trying to find last minute gifts and stuff. But this year, shout out to Amazon Prime and the free memberships, free trial memberships. I got a few days to cancel that membership out. But been doing this been doing online shopping a lot lately, and Black Friday as well. Did more online for Black Friday than actually going into the store, except for get some TVs and whatnot. But it's been a fun Christmas. I did my Christmas Eve shindig I always do.
And I wasn't invited to that as well, like every year. But I'll digress.
Look, this was last minute because, like I told Monique, on the Saturday of Christmas Eve, I was supposed to have the Saturday before Christmas, I was supposed to have my little shindig, but my family
and I don't remember any of that conversation. But
no, remember my family instead we did the cookies and the caroling.
Okay. Yeah, to deflect from some other things you guys have been doing.
But we did that, and the Christmas was fun. I got my iMac now, so I can have my office set up in my apartment now, so everything's all copacetic in here and whatnot. Got my dad's finally part of Team iPhone. I got my iPhone for Christmas. He, from Team Android, he was looking at me kind of funny because he was like, he's 64, about to be 65 this year. So, old people be in their feelings and be like, well, I'm used to my Android. Now he loves his iPhone. So, that was good. Got my mom an Apple Watch. Got my sister an AirPods. Got my grandma a smart TV. Everybody got a lot of stuff. Everybody was good. I'm one of those people who don't like to receive gifts for Christmas. I just like to give gifts for Christmas. But
Oh, how funny, because I didn't get anything from you from Christmas. Okay.
and
And I'm one of those people who loves to receive.
well, well, I will make sure. Well, hold on now. Make sure. I know it's after New Year's, Three Kings Day and whatnot, but I still hear.
Okay.
I don't know if it's fireworks or some gunshots. I'm not a Newport News, am I? Hold on there.
Okay.
But how was your How was your holiday?
Well, I had a lovely, lovely holiday. I cannot complain one little bit. I wouldn't have been able to come to your little raggedy party anyway on Christmas Eve, Reggie, because I was up all night long. I never went to sleep on Christmas Eve. I was running like all day that day. Like I had lost my wedding band. I guess it's been about a month now. So I ran down to Newport News. Speaking of Newport News, I went to the Zales in Newport News because they had the band that I was looking for. So I went, got up early that morning, went to Newport News, came back. Jaden had to get a haircut. I had to go to the grocery store because again, I cooked dinner here. So I was up pretty much all night, cooking and baking. I did my famous crab boil, cooked ham, turkey, fresh string beans, seafood salad, yams, macaroni and cheese, fried cabbage. So, dressing and gravy and things like that. And so then I was wrapping gifts. So, like I said, Christmas Day, we were expecting some people over. My husband did have one of his cousins come down from Baltimore, so it was fun times with her. She actually stayed until Friday. So Jaden had a very, very, very good Christmas. He is also one that loves to receive gifts. So he got a go kart, which is parked in my drive, which actually is parked in my garage. Like is one of his vehicles. Can't even get my truck in the garage, but child, he got a go kart. Uh what was it, the wireless earbuds. He got a pair of Beats. He got a Google Home Mini, games for his Xbox, clothes. I'm trying to think, what did he not get? A whole bunch of stuff. iTunes gift card, Fortnite gift card, a coat, just a whole bunch of stuff, tennis shoes. So he had a blessed Christmas. That's what it's all about. Again, Jesus is the reason for the season.
Yeah.
Most importantly, the birth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. But it did make my heart, feel good to be able to give him some of the things that he wanted off of his Christmas wish list. So, again, I had a good Christmas, good holiday. I worked, I think, I worked New Year's Eve, and then I was off New Year's Day. So I went and did some shopping for my own self and watch movies and all that good stuff. So, I really haven't had a vacation. Looking forward to doing that soon. But other than that, like I said, I can't complain one little bit. Been trucking right along. Went to a very, very nice birthday party last night. So I think I found my new side hustle. Me and my
Mm-hmm.
girlfriend Nikki, we're gonna start managing us some strippers, and we're gonna start doing some party promotions. You laughing, but I'm dead serious. We are planning our first event for March, and if that goes over well, we're gonna have a Mother's Day extravaganza, honey. So we calling the mother of our mothers to come to this event, even if you're not a mother. So I think we're gonna do like a Mother's Day brunch, and we're gonna end it with some dancers. So
Yeah.
again, we're gonna test things out come March. We're gonna have a little March Madness celebration.
Not March
And
Madness.
then yes, yes, yes. And then if that goes over very well, we're gonna try our hand on Mother's Day and have a nice Mother's Day extravaganza. So, tell your mama to come on up, tell her friends from the Kidney Foundation and the Dialysis Center, and your grandmother and your sister, everybody. We will be selling tickets. The proceeds will not be going to FNL management. It will be going right into me and Nikki's pocket. But, I'll give you more details, Reggie, and I'll give you guys more details on that as well. But I think I done found my new side hustle from last night.
Okay. Now hold on, because me and Monique had a conversation last year as well, like a few months ago, or maybe a few weeks ago. But your new alter ego. So we're gonna introduce your name now, or we're gonna call you that for the rest of the year, or that's just on special occasions. What was it? Bad news.
Bad news doll.
In celebration of the cash dolls, the Asian dolls, the doll dolls out there.
Yeah, everybody got doll associated with their name, so I would like to be known as Bad News Doll.
All right,
Okay.
so you rocking with FNL Radio with Doc and Bad News Doll, everybody. So change the logo up real quick, but it's good that you all are still here, people. Unfortunately, sometimes at the start of the new year or even before the new year begins, we lose people. So we're blessed that you all are here to listen to the show right now. We're blessed to be here. So again, thank you all for rocking and waiting for us and listening.
Yeah, because we did lose. Unfortunately, what we saw the other day that Nick Gordon passed, and I
Hmm.
believe that was on New Year's Day. You guys
Yeah,
all know him. He was the quote unquote adopted son of Whitney Houston and the brother slash boyfriend of the
Bobby.
late Bobby Christina
Hmm.
as well, or Bobby Christina Brown. So, apparently he had a really, really bad situation with drugs that he just could not shake. And unfortunately, he passed on New Year's Day. And then I think yesterday I was reading, and I don't quite know her name. But she's a rapper, and apparently, Kaylani put her on, and
Oh,
yeah, she passed as well.
yeah. And I don't think there's been any information as how she passed away, but
Mm-mm.
she was only young. She was like 21. So again, man, it's life is precious, but we lucky to be here right now because sometimes things may happen. But again, we're blessed to be here, rocking with you all here on FNL, and let's just celebrate life right now, people. So, um, kicking off the show. So, as we started, I stated at the start of the show that this episode is based on Surviving R. Kelly Part 2, The Reckoning, which came on Lifetime. So, just to rewind, because it's one of our favorite episodes of all time that we done on FNL.
It
We've done
is.
good things on FNL, but this is one of our favorite episodes. One of y'all favorite episodes as well, because a lot of y'all had, some things to say. Yeah, some of y'all thought we went too hard on some people.
Well, if you
But
felt like we went too hard on some people last year, you wait till tonight.
exactly. So just rewind for you all. So Surviving R. Kelly premiered last January of 2019. And if y'all been listening to FNL 2 for the longest time, even back to when FNL was on Blog Talk Radio back in the day, we always talked about R. Kelly in some way, shape, or fashion. Whether it was him getting pissed on in the hallways of Madison Square Garden, whether it was him pissing on people, whether it was him having cults and STDs and passing on herpes, sleeping with people's wives in Dallas, Texas, and the police officers and stuff like that. And I mean, it's been a whole lot that we talked about with Robert Sylvester Kelly. And even when down to when I always tell you all that he speaks in third person, they've expunged on that. Well, they pretty much just talk more about that in detail on this version of Surviving R. Kelly Part 2. But last year was just basically about all the survivors coming forward and speaking their truths about what happened with R. Kelly, their situations, how they met him, how we always talked about how he was at McDonald's in Chicago picking up little girls. Um,
And then the malls.
yeah, and playgrounds and dog parks and bathrooms and wherever he could find the little girl that he picked the little girl up.
His
And we saw,
concerts, yeah.
yes, because parents send bring their kids to R. Kelly concerts like this
And
damn
then letting
UK
them,
Millennium Tour.
yeah, and then letting his team pull their young daughters up on stage. What else? Promising, he's going
Music
to make them
careers.
famous and put them on. So things of that nature.
Exactly. So we did the show right afterwards because we watched like everybody else. 28 million people in total watched the 3 nights of Survivor R. Kelly, and we were all intrigued by it. But at the same time, this is stuff that has been talked about forever. and it's just now coming to light in a different way. So, like I said, on FNL, we've always talked about R. Kelly and these situations. How I was in middle school when I was like 12 years old when the tape first came out, and he pissing on little girls and stuff like that, and people knew about it. But then a few months later, here you go with Ignition Remix, threw us all off track. And Chocolate Factory came out. I'm not going to be afraid to admit it, but that was one of the best R&B albums at that time. I mean, even TP2.com and whatnot. But anyways, then Trapped in the Closet came out, and a list of other records. He tried to throw us off and try to be like the clean guy real quick when he did the whole Love Letters album and stuff like that. Then he went back to the freaky side with Black Panties, and that was the last R. Kelly album that came out, because after that, the whole Surviving R. Kelly situation happened, and then he ended up having all these charges against him. That the concerts were being dropped and canceled.
Yeah, they launched the Mute R. Kelly hashtag
Yeah.
Mute R. Kelly
Mm-hmm.
movement. So
And so a lot has happened in that year to where now he's in jail, people. And he's been sitting in jail for a good minute now, even though he's been complaining that his fingernails hurt, that his kneecaps hurt, he got hernias and stuff. He put in the whole Marion Should Knight situation, people. He's complaining about
and
all these
that's
health
you know
ailments.
he gonna be blind like old Bill Cosby, and Dr. Heathcliff
Mm-hmm.
Huxtable. So yeah, he is trying it, and he is really pulling it in there. And I think what the trial starts March of 2020, I believe.
Yeah, March or April, one of the two, but it's coming real soon. And then he got other trial dates later in the year too that haven't
In
been scheduled.
various other states, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So pretty much the Reckoning Part 2 is basically the aftermath of all of that, and we get more into detail on Joycelyn and Azrael, and after they've been in this, the two last lone girls standing, we get
Yeah.
Dominique.
She went on back home to her mama.
Mm-hmm.
And well, first of all, let's say this. So surviving R. Kelly Part 2, The Reckoning. It was a 3-night event. So it came on Thursday night.
Mm-hmm.
And it was on for 2 hours. Friday night 2 hours, and then last night 1.5 hours. So last night was the last part of this whole documentary. So it starts off on Thursday night, and I will tell you, like last year, I took very good notes, and detailed notes, and we talked about pretty much everything from start to finish. Now we're gonna try to do that during this show as well, but I will be honest, I did not take notes, so I'm gonna go by memory. So Reggie, you probably gonna have to jump in and guide me on some things. But I do remember it starting off with those two crazy ass brothers,
Yeah.
Bruce, who is locked up right now, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't think they've ever stated what he's truly locked up for. Do you know?
Because remember, we tried to do our information last year. We tried to do research, and we couldn't really find no information, because you can find a case on anybody and see why they went to jail, why they went to court, and everything. And this man, we cannot find no information on. So he's one of those like tucked away records where he must have did something real bad. But he claimed in the interview that he's getting out this year or next year, one of the two. So
Yeah, so I think he's due to get out next year. So again, like we said, Bruce Kelly, he is serving time behind bars, and Carrie Kelly is rocking in the free world with the rest of us.
mm-hmm.
But it starts off with them interviewing Bruce in his cell. And well, not in his cell, but in some type of interview room at the prison. And basically he is stating that, he does not know how to help R. Kelly. He wants to help R. Kelly. He feels like, R. Kelly is at a place, or his brother is at a place now where he does not know what to do. And he feels like this is just gonna take him out.
Yes.
um, he starts talking, which confuses us because I'm looking on Matt HD like, okay, why are y'all interviewing him?
Again.
So basically, he is talking about, once again, it goes back to when they were kids and when they were growing up. So we all knew, or had some we all knew some story about, R. Kelly being sexually molested, him and Carrie Kelly, by a member of their family.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always been alleged it was their sister. And I think her name
Yeah.
was Teresa, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mr. Bruce Kelly is saying that Mr. Henry, which was
Yeah.
somebody in the neighborhood that all the kids looked up to. He would pick fruits and vegetables and he would hand them out to the kids and the families in the neighborhood. He would go hand pick these cherries and whatnot, and the kids could come back to his house and they could watch TV. And he was like a role model to the people
Mm-hmm.
in Chicago, or to the little kids and the families and things like that. He was like a dad to the kids that didn't have a dad, and again, he was somebody they looked up to make a
Yeah.
long story short. So according to Bruce Kelly, they always went to Mr. Henry's house. And so this particular time when they went to Mr. Henry's house, Mr. Henry pulled out his penis and
Mm-hmm.
started shaking it in front of them. And so Mr. Henry, basically was making some motions like he wanted old Bruce and Carrie and Robert to suck him off.
Mm-hmm.
So according to Bruce, they was running, trying to get out the house. They was pushing each other back. One get to the door to one get to the door. The one to get to the door, they pushed the other. Somebody pushed that person away. Vice versa. That went on till they was able to break away. So somehow or another, they also started blaming the mother and basically stating it was her fault for allowing them to get involved with Mr. Henry.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened was Mr. Henry was never prosecuted because Mr. Henry gave the mother $5,000 not to go to the police. Now, what
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't understand is Mr. Henry, back then in the 70s, 60s, and 70s, $5,000 was a whole lot of money. Mr.
Exactly.
Henry had $5,000. Why was Mr. Henry in the project?
Exactly. That be, you know what, and that always remind me of episode, because I know Good Times are set in Chicago too. It always remind me why some people who seem like hood rich were living in the projects but had some money, like Aunt Walona, but still living in the projects because they want to get that $5 rent. I see the game y'all been playing out there in these streets, but anywho, but yeah. So Uncle M. Henry was like, they call him the cool old man. They call him the uncle. The kids looked up to him in the community. Like you say, he was passing out fruits and vegetables. He was the original Pied Piper, if you will, of Chicago and their streets. And like they said too, like Bruce said, when the neighborhood men got, when all the men in the neighborhood got word of what he was doing to the kids, to Bruce Kelly and R. Kelly and the little boy Carrie, that they all jumped him. And after they jumped him, he was arrested. He got bonded out, but then that's when he bribed Mrs. Kelly, their mom, with $5,000 not to show up in court. And Bruce was like, "Had been my child, been no amount of money would have made me not prosecute that dude." He did identify the man who abused him. Andrea Kelly piped up for 1 second in the special, and she said that he was so afraid because he was so little, and he would just start bringing up emotions and stuff like that. And that kind of, like, in a sense, with the special, started the conversation of maybe because he was touched as a child, which again last year we knew he was touched by a sister or a family member, but this time kind of like, okay, now he was touched by a man as a little boy. And I feel like we always knew that too. I don't know why we always felt like we kind of knew that he was touched by a boy in some type of way or manner, but now it's kind of like confirmed in a sense because his brothers have said it. But then again, that was bringing up the conversation with the therapist on the show and whatnot, as maybe that what he had gone through with those traumas as a child was the reason why he started his infatuation with little girls and side note little boys as well. But that's neither here nor there. But while that sexual abuse at an early age was can be really confusing, and it makes the trauma linger on. Sometimes people shy away from it, and sometimes people deal with it in a different capacity. And some people, then the victims become the people that victimize other people. So
In this case, R. Kelly.
yeah,
And again, and like you said, I don't know. It could be that thing. It's like, well, that's all you see. That's all you know. Even though you know that it's wrong, that's all you've ever seen your whole life. So again, like you said, you start to become, the aggressor, and you're the
Yeah.
one, taking advantage of young girls, and then there were even some talks about possibly even little boys.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's just a sick. I believe everybody in that household was sick, because
Yeah.
they did kind of, even though they never said the sister's name, they do kind of start talking about Bruce and Carrie. They do start talking about, they kind of bring up again, some issues, that they had with the sister. They never
Mm-hmm.
say her name, but they insinuate that it was definitely the sister, because they kept going back to, we would go outside and play, and Robert liked to stay in the house with her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even Carrie said, I think he tried to do some things to her, like he made her climb on top, or she made Carrie climb on top of her. And I think she did some things to Carrie as well. They never state that it is their sister Teresa, but
Mm-hmm.
the insinuation is it was what, three of them, two boys. Well, it was what, four of them,
Yeah.
three boys
Uh.
and one
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah.
So, it can't be nobody but the sister. So,
Exactly.
um, it sounds like everybody was sick on down to the mama.
Mm.
She took $5,000 instead of, having Mr. Henry, prosecuted and sent to jail. So
Exactly.
it seems like, it was just everybody in that household was sick and needed some help.
Yes. And then the other part of the part one as well was well, episode one was that it was this reporter who's said that he's been working with the Chicago Sun Times for and BuzzFeed and the New Yorker for years, and he was one of the key people in media who were bringing up these stories and having interviews with these different victims and stuff like that of R. Kelly. And basically was one of the key people from back in the day who was putting a little, after the tape first surfaced back in 2002, and sometimes even before that with the whole Aaliyah marriage situation, that he was, putting little stories out there here and there from people that was bringing him information. Same as like Wendy Williams, like I told you on Wendy Williams' show, she used to have all the tea on everybody, and even Carrie got on the show before because when R. Kelly tried to make Carrie take the blame for the tape initially, he got on Wendy Williams and was talking about all this other stuff. Like that's when he actually, I think he mentioned the sister the first time on the Wendy Williams interview because he was talking a lot because he hated R. Kelly's guts at that time, his own brother, because his own brother tried to make him take the fall for some child pornography that he was a part of. So, part of part one was the victims from the first R. Kelly surviving part one last year. A lot of them were coming forward saying that they've been victims of people saying that they were using this for money, especially from R. Kelly's camp, his lawyers and stuff like that. Because even every time we went to commercial break, it always gave a disclaimer. I guess to cover Lifetime's tracks that he denies all the claims against him. His lawyers are saying the allegations are a smear campaign, and that the survivors are trying to promote books and albums and going on
And
speaking tours.
they possibly cannot be victims and things of that nature. So some of the survivors from last year, we never talked about this because we have not done a show in a very long time, but I
Mm-hmm.
do remember seeing and reading, for whatever reason, during this documentary, I guess Andrea Kelly did not want to be a part of it. And so there
Mm-hmm.
was a rumor out that she had a lawsuit out against Lifetime because they used her likeness. Like you said, we did see her pop up for 1 second, and then they never showed her again. But some of the survivors, um, what was her, Asante McGee, she was
Mm-hmm.
from last year's documentary. She was back up there this year. Um, who else? Geronda Pace. And we'll
Mm-hmm.
talk about some of them at the end as well.
Mm-hmm.
The young lady Lizette, I think her last name is Martinez, I believe. And then the young lady Faith Rogers, we saw her during the documentary last year, more so towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then what was it? Faith Rogers. Lizette Martinez, Deronda Pace, uh, and then the young lady Kitty. So
Yeah.
they were stating that they have been getting basically a lot of them have been being trolled on
Mm-hmm.
social media. They have gotten like death threats, and you know basically people stating that they were going to kill them. They're telling lies, they're spreading vicious rumors, things that they know that they basically just stating you haven't been through those things, stop lying. Again, you're looking for money, you are doing this for your own gains and selfish gains and things like that, and you're up there trying to promote whatever businesses and things that you have going on. um we heard a lot from Faith Rogers' parents,
Yes.
and I don't know what to say about them. So apparently, her dad, Faith Rogers. Now we did talk about her on our show. She
Mm-hmm.
actually came forth recent. Well, I guess was it in 2017? She sued R. Kelly, stating that he did not disclose to her that he had, you know, a sexually
Herpes.
transmitted disease. Yeah, herpes. And so she states that she met him, I believe, at a concert. And I can't
Mm-hmm.
remember. Do you remember what she said? What concert? What city? What state?
I forgot what concert, but basically it's kind
She,
of sounds like she won ticket. Because again, we're trying to figure out, at your age at that time, R. Kelly was in the love letters phase of his career, so he wasn't like, popping for real. And for young people to be like, let me go to an R. Kelly
yeah,
concert.
because she said she was like 18. I believe she
Yeah.
was about 18 when she went to this concert. And she met him at the concert, and I can't remember, and this is where things get a little fuzzy for me, because again I did not take notes, but I don't think that she wanted to be a singer like Jocelyn Savage and or Jocelyn Savage and Azriel Clary. They actually, even though they deny it, they wanted to be singers. I don't think this young lady wanted to be a singer, and I don't think she had any interest in being in the music industry.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, she met him. Um, she states that she pretty much engaged in sexual acts and had a sexual relationship. I don't know if they were supposed to be together. They were supposed to be boyfriend and girlfriend, but and I can't remember. I can't remember how long they were together, this and the third. But I remember her stating that what made her take an STD test was somehow or another she got in touch with the Savages,
Mm-hmm.
and the Savages, you know, were the ones that suggested that she possibly should get an STD test, because I think she disclosed to them that she had been sleeping around with him, and she had been sleeping with him unprotected. And it turns out once she got that um, STD test, she had herpes. So again, we did talk about her on the show back in 2017. She did sue him
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
for not disclosing to her that he had a STD, and it was passed along to her. Now here's the thing with her. Her parents were very, very much into the church. Her dad is
Mm.
a pastor. So they state that she was not allowed to listen to any secular music. They had this strict tight grip on her. She was not allowed to do any single thing. So we're trying to figure out, well, if the bitch won't allow to listen to no secular music, how the fuck does she know about R. Kelly? And
Exactly.
again, what was your 18, 19-year-old self doing at an R. Kelly concert? Because again, you wasn't even born, little girl, when this man's music was actually popping and he was making hits.
Exactly. Even when the little gospel album that he tried to come out with, "You Save Me, Happy People," he still you still was probably like 2, 3, or 4 years old. So you really wouldn't know R. Kelly music to that capacity like that at that time, because he was still going through the charges and whatnot. And I
So I believe Pastor Rogers and First Lady Rogers must have had some R. Kelly CDs, some 12 play CDs and tapes
mm,
and whatnot sitting around. And like you said, the Chocolate Factory and
Yeah.
the 12 Play, and what was the other one?
TT2.com and
Yeah, yeah, they had to have it laying around.
yeah,
Maybe the choir was practicing. You saved me, and I believe I could fly. I don't know, because again,
exactly.
I can't understand why your 18, 19-year-old ass carried your ass to a concert. Shouldn't you been at a Chris Brown concert or a Drake
That Trey,
concert or a Trey
yeah,
Songz
somebody
concert?
young and current. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's neither here. I guess that's neither here nor there at this point. But anyway, she engaged in some type of sexual relationship with him. Again, I don't remember. I don't know if she stated for how long she was involved with him, but it was long enough for her to get
Mm-hmm.
an STD.
Exactly.
So, um, we saw her. And then who else did we see? Reggie again, like you said, they show snippets of like well, not Faith Rogers. They show snippets of the young lady, Asante McGee, because that was
Mm-hmm.
the old hoe, and
Yeah.
so was the girl Kitty. Because I remember last year on last year's documentary, the girl Kitty, she was a DJ, and I guess
Yeah.
she stated that she introduced herself to R. Kelly. They were at some type of party or something. She introduced herself to him as somebody that worked in the whole DJ industry, the radio industry, or whatever. And she quit her job as a DJ out in Dallas to come
Mm-hmm.
and live with him and live in his house, this, that, and the third. Because she was every bit of like 34. So she
Yeah.
was old enough to know better. But we saw
Is
snippets of her this on this particular documentary, as again as we did of Asante McGee. Even Geronda Pace, we got snippets of her as well.
mm-hmm.
Um, but we also saw, and now we didn't mention this, we saw Dominique.
Yeah.
Um, and we actually got we got a good segment with her and her mom.
Mm-hmm.
So we all know that last year when the documentary ended, Dominique was a young lady that R. Kelly had pretty much turned into the boy child,
Mm-hmm.
down to the Trump Towers. So she had cut
Mm-hmm.
all her hair off. She was the one. Her mom was instrumental in going to
Rest
L.A.
in.
Yes, and rescuing her. And
Mm-hmm.
then when the documentary went off last year, it stated that she was at home for
Shit went
about
back
2 weeks,
3 days.
and then she went on back. So this time we see Dominique, and she talks about why she ended up going back. And she stated, I guess R. Kelly just had this hold on her that she just could not seem to break free from. And then
Mm-hmm.
also she thought about, and I did not hear her say anything about Azrael Clary, but she
Yeah.
did say they kept talking about Jocelyn, and I guess Joycelyn, and they call her Joy.
Mm-hmm.
She just kept stating that she felt really, really bad about
That.
Joy, about
Mm-hmm.
keeping her there. She had been in touch with the Savages, and she really wanted Joycelyn to come home, because her parents were very, very hurt by what had been going on. And
Mm-hmm.
Dominique, her story, how she kind of fell into the arms of R. Kelly and ended up at his home. She was friends with Geronda Pace. They
Yeah.
became friends on MySpace. And when R. Kelly, according to Geronda Pace, when Robert R. Kelly told her, to get some more girls into the house, she reached out to Dominique. Dominique, was going to R. Kelly's home. She had her mom thinking that she was hanging out with her girlfriends, going to the movies, going to the mall, doing things that teenagers do. Come to find out, I guess one of her girlfriends spilled the beans and told her mom. She's, excuse me, actually at R. Kelly's house. She has been going over there for quite some time, and she has been, involved in a sexual relationship with him.
Mm-hmm.
So, it also, her mom also has a long segment as well, and it just kind of goes back, it keeps flashing back to when her mom went to LA and went over to the Beverly Hills. Was it the Beverly Hills hotel they were staying at?
The residence in.
Oh, okay, yeah, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she went over there and rescued her. And so she was stating that, she was just not she was, even when Dominique came home, it was just not the Dominique that she knew. I guess Dominique also had a brother. Her brother was also involved in the documentary for this year as well. I think she came home for his graduation, I believe. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but they were just stating that she was just not the same person.
Yeah, she lost a lot of weight. Her
Yeah, she had cut her
demeanor
hair.
was different. She was more darker as far as her, just her as a person. And of course, that's going to take a while to build back up too, because of the fact that you were in this dark place, you're kind of like in this controlled way where you were, like
You
what we
were
saw
being
right
controlled
at the
by this
hotel.
grown. Yeah, you were being
Yeah,
controlled
she
by
had a
this
whole do
grown
rag
ass
on. I thought
man.
she was a whole nigga, a whole tall tee on, looking like a whole little nut nigga. So of course, all that you've been kind of programmed to be, you kind of got to decompress that and kind of like got to reprogram yourself in a sense to where you can be who you are now.
Yeah.
Um,
And her mom was rocking a new do. So her mom
yeah,
stated that she has cut her hair off so that she could kind of join in the fight with her daughter. So her daughter knows, hey, you're not alone in this fight. I'm rocking with you. I've been riding with you this entire time. So, I want to look like you look. So she cut all her hair off. I think that was a nice, move. Her mom, I will say this particular documentary, her mom seemed to be way more toned down than she
yeah.
was, last
'Cause-
season, which,
yeah, 'cause last year we had some words for Mama. We was like, look
yeah, it
now, Mama.
made us kind of question,
So
bitch, was you up here for tricks and shows and stunts or
yes,
whatever? But this season, or I keep saying season, this year, this particular documentary, she seemed to be very, very more toned down. You didn't see the Gucci bag, you didn't see the Fendi, you didn't see the Chanel,
mm-hmm.
all of those things. We just saw her mom really raw and uncut or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was that was good to see her mom in that type of state. Um Let's see, who else do you want to talk about?
And then also in the first episode too of the part two special, they were talking about how they was at the premiere and there was a lot of some threats that were being called in, and they had to actually be at the premiere early. And then as after the premiere, this one gets to the Rogers in a little bit, but there were people saying that there's some websites out here gonna leak all your shit out. There's Facebook pages and stuff like that. So it was called, what was it, Surviving Lies. So
Surviving Last. And yeah, and then we did get to see one young woman, and I didn't get her name, that was part of that whole camp, a white woman actually. And
yeah,
she
the white woman
stated,
and her sister, they too were on R. Kelly's team, the manager, and she was the quote unquote staff. But yeah, I'm gonna put their names in a little bit, but we definitely get into them. But and the part two of what episode two, on night one, the Tiffany Hawkins, who was the first person in the whole situation, like the first person R. Kelly's arsenal of little girls he's had. She was the first person out of everybody before Leah. She was the first victim from 1991 when she was 15. She sued them for sexual contact, and I guess, and she broke a non-disclosure agreement in which she vowed to stay silent about her abusive relationship with R. Kelly. But I guess I don't know if it had a time limit on it or something like that, or whatever. But she was in this interview talking and piping up and everything like that. Um,
and yeah, and she actually, in her story, she actually wanted to be a singer. And I
yeah,
can't remember where she said she met him. Did she meet him at the McDonald's?
she met him at the Hyde
Or did,
Park, because her and her
okay.
friends saw him in his car, and they were, again, R. Kelly at 1991. He's part of public announcement. He's the big thing of Chicago. So of course everybody like fanning out. It's like, oh my God, R. Kelly. So they were fanning out, and he invited them to his apartment to sing. And she said that she sang Mariah Carey's song. I don't know what song she sang. I don't know if it was Vision of Love or whatnot. But she said she had a high note out of his chair, and she looked to his
Said
friend. He was
upstairs,
like,
girl.
yeah, he was like, oh, that's a that's a good thing.
Well,
If he,
there was a lot of, she did hit a lot of high notes and emotions. You
yeah,
got me feeling emotions.
kind of like 91. The only other Mariah Carey song was just the whole first Mariah Carey album with Vision of Love, and Love Takes Time and whatnot. Then Emotions just came out in '91, so
But
they,
yeah, but Vision of Love ain't had no highlights like Emotions did.
exactly. So she must have hit an Emotions note, and she hit every type of emotion. Robert Sylvester, because Robert Sylvester said, "Oh, you gonna hit them high notes in bed too." So she
And my thing, well, my question to her was, how did she know she was the first one? Or did she mean she was the first one that sued him?
she was the first one on public record, I suppose.
Okay.
But she said that
I guess that's not neither here nor there either.
exactly. And then the same teacher that taught R. Kelly, the little old lady
Call
from
her, yeah, the one that was in the wheelchair.
yeah, she said that the teacher said she sounded like Whitney Houston and looked like her too. I'm looking at those old pictures. I was like, okay, now
They
I don't
don't
see
look
Whitney
nothing like
Elizabeth. I don't
Nippy.
see Nippy. I don't see Nippy in these pictures.
But
But
that lady was also very demented.
yeah. But that's why they only showed a picture of her this time. That's why she wasn't piping up in this interview this year. But so again, the girl grew up in Chicago. Tiffany, she came from a troubled home as well. She had a physically abusive, or her mother had a physically abusive boyfriend. So her meeting R. Kelly, was like a
A
good thing.
way
She
to escape those things. At least that's what she thought.
yeah, she said every girl that bought back with me between the ages of 14 and 16, and for several months he provided her with food, a place to live, promised her to help her with her singing career. Kelly called her his cable girl because whenever he asked her to bring other girls, she would do so. He told her to stop bringing girls and begin demanding sex from her, and that's when she began living with him and told her to cut off all contact with everybody he knew. And then around that time frame too, that's when R. Kelly started working with Aaliyah in the studio.
Yeah.
She was nothing but 13, 14 years old at that time.
And she
And
was in, yeah, and she ended up singing backup for Liga. She was
yeah, and
out,
the other girl
and she,
too. What's the other girl started with a J? The one that had the braids in one scene last year, but then she had a wig in the next
yeah, she
scene.
was back up there for a small snippet as well.
Yeah.
But this girl here, they show she was in the video. I can't remember which
Mm-hmm.
video, but back
At
in
your
the,
best, at your best, you are love.
but you also know she's also in the so that Aaliyah's CD was one of
Ain't
my
enough
very, very,
number.
yes, age ain't number the number. That was one of my very, very, very first CDs that I got. I remember I got a boombox. I want to say for, I can't remember which birthday it was. It had to be my 11th or 12th birthday. And I got a boombox and I got two CDs. It was Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, and I think it was maybe a Brett CD, maybe. I think it was a Brett CD. But at any rate, um, remember back then, that's when CDs had long, big, thick booklets, and they would shout
Yeah.
out people and things like that. So that young lady is actually in the Aaliyah shouts her out and thanks her. Her name is actually all over that CD.
Because she did the background
Yeah,
vocals on
because
that.
she did the background vocals.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And
And so she states one of the reasons why she stayed was because, again, like you stated, it was because, okay, well, he has promised, when I say he, I'm talking about Robert Sylvester Kelly, has promised her all of these things. He's promised her this music career, this life, this, that, and the third. And so again, she's thinking that if she does those things and she adheres to the things that he's demanding from her, she's going to get the very thing that he promised her when she first met him, which is his popping music career.
mm-hmm.
Because again, I don't think her plan was to ever sing background vocals. I think, again, like you said, she was told, basically she was the next Mariah Carey. The music teacher told her she was the next Whitney Houston. So I don't think her plan was to ever sing background for Aaliyah. I think she wanted to be the lead singer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what she was promised.
Yeah. And so then they start going into the fact that he married Aaliyah, and even the girl's tone, like when she was saying that she was, that again, how we say she kept trying to avoid having sex with R. Kelly.
Yeah, so she stated, she did say that, she stated that she was glad that Aaliyah came around,
Yeah,
because then it took the focus off of her, and it took the
yeah.
focus out the being off of her being forced to sleep with him and do all these, perform all these lewd, sexual acts and things like that. And so, it went from her to now Aaliyah.
Mm-hmm. And like even the other girl, she was bringing wrong, and it kind of makes you think too, because again, we can't really be in their heads to see what they're thinking at that time. But it's kind of like, well, then it's kind of fucked up that you would let some other little girl get hurt while you're actually saying, "I'm happy it wasn't me."
And that kind
But
of goes back to the thing that that we talked about last year,
mm-hmm.
when we talked about the same thing. Like, okay, you see these things happening, but you don't tell anybody, and you don't go to any type of adult and say anything. I can see, you maybe not going to the police, but again, you not telling somebody, some other adult, that these things are going on.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys remember, I remember very vividly, I told you guys this story last year, when, again, my, 11, 12-year-old self was gonna go to that boy house and wear them red panties. And I told my girlfriend Candy what I was about to do, and she called my mama, and my mama came, busted in my room, and was like, "Okay, yeah, what is this about you going A, to the projects, B,
Uh-huh.
you going to some boy house, and C, bitch, where you got some red panties at?"
Exactly.
So again, I just don't understand. Like you said, how can it be okay for you to kind of step out the picture, and then you okay with him sleeping around with the next 14-year-old? Like, if
Exactly.
you knew it was wrong when you was doing it, so you don't think it's wrong for Aaliyah, and and the one after her, and the one after her, and the one after her.
Mm-hmm. And so then that's when they're going to say that he actually made Aaliyah sign the first NDA agreement that he had, the first non-disclosure agreement, and that's when they, forged this sexual and romantic relationship in a sense, and to where he made, and this way he getting charged for now too, for making her forge her age on legal
Some
documents
legal
to get
documents.
married and she was only 15 years old, and of course we know the story, they got ignored and everything like that. But Dame Dash popped in the scene for a little bit too, because I'm like, okay, I can't take Dame Dash serious, because first off, in 2001 when Fiesta came out, you was all up in the video and stuff like that, but you were dating Aaliyah. Even if you and Aaliyah were just friends, you old enough to know the story from back then. So you was out here hobnobbing with R. Kelly, working on the Best of Both Worlds album with R. Kelly and Jay-Z. This is before R. Kelly got not pistol whipped, or pistol whipped, if you will. But he got beat up by by Jay-Z's crew and pepper sprayed and whatnot in the Madison hallways and getting pissed on and stuff like that. And that started their little beef. But Dame Dash was saying that, Aaliyah would just call him a bad guy. Remember, Dame Dash and Aaliyah dated for a minute. They talked marriage and everything before she unfortunately passed away in August
Mm-hmm.
2001. He just said it just made her feel uncomfortable, that I couldn't know about it because it would have made me too uncomfortable to not try to rectify the situation, and that he sought therapy over the issue. And I'm like, okay, nigga, and whatever. So, and I couldn't take it serious because, again, this is the same dude right now. Before this interview just came out, he just now, they're saying that he got some allegations about some sexual misconduct against him as well right now, too. So, and of course, he always got money issues.
Yeah,
He,
he just got out of jail for some type of child support issue. So
exactly.
yeah, so
Exactly. Then he had the interview room. I'm like, okay, now you got shorts on and the dress shirt. Okay, whatever. So then we get into Tiffany, and she's saying that the reason why she left working with Aaliyah because she got pregnant, and she actually sought after the TV lawyer. Every town got a TV lawyer. Here is Joel Bieber. Is Joel Bieber still a thing out here? But remember,
not as big as he was back in the
yeah,
early 90s, late 80s.
yeah, but everyone got a town TV attorney. So she sought the legal advice of Susan Logan's and Associates, a Chicago-based firm who she saw advertised on TV, and she called the 1-800 or the local number after R. Kelly refused to take a paternity test. So then her attorney at the time said that no one believed her story. The state did not press criminal charges against him. They proceeded to file a civil lawsuit. In '98, she gave a deposition, a pretrial testimony, and that revealed that R. Kelly knew she was a minor when she had sex with her, when he had sex with her, and that his lawyers offered her a $250,000 cash settlement, and she had to sign an NDA. So pretty much that was that part of the situation there in part two of the episode two. But then we get into where Kelly says that he finally started realizing that he was having sex with girls because he asked to borrow a copy of the Stephen King movie. Sometimes They Come Back again. But when he played the movie, because this is back in VHS time, so you could record a movie, get a VHS.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can record over the VHS if it's a bootleg copy of the movie, and you can record something else over it. Well, he got the tape, and he had discovered that Robert was having sex with some white girls who said on the tape that they were 13. And he said the system is a different ball game than the black girls 13 because, again, at that time, white girls, or not even just at that time, but now, had those white girls come out in this interview, which it might be a part 3. Who knows? Those white girls might come to surface soon, but they could say, R. Kelly did this, and he would have been locked up immediately back then. But with the black girls say something, it's still swept under the rug.
Yeah, it took 30 years.
Yeah. Like Trey Songz as a recent name, because remember we told y'all Trey Songz been playing touch and go with some girls recently, and then Keke Palmer stated something a few years ago when she had a situation.
She had a situation with him, and then I heard he had a situation not too long ago with Megan Thee Stallion, and he was trying to like force her to drink these drinks, and he was stating that she had enough, she was uncomfortable. Nigga, you a whole ass daddy. I mean, so is Robert Sylvester Kelly, but at the same time, like you said, it's different when the white woman cry their tears than the black girl, and when it's kind of sad, that we still live in a world where nobody really gives a damn about little black girl's tears, but when the white woman cry their tears, we come a running.
Exactly. So then, in the tape, he said that pretty much he gave the tape back to R. Kelly, and I'm trying to think too, like, okay, was it a copy of a tape that had like a piece of, kind of when I used to record tapes and stuff like that, like TV shows on TV with the VHS, you put like if you don't have the little labels that come with the tape, you put like a little piece of little masking tape on the tape, and
you write. And back then, VH1, they always came with like those cardboard covers. You write on the cover. You take a marker and write on the cover what it was.
Exactly. So you can tell if it was a Stephen King movie, unless you're out here bootlegging movies in the streets of Chicago. But still, something would have told you this ain't the real movie or something like that before you even put the tape in. But that's neither here nor there, because y'all all seem a little slow. So
yeah, because the real movies that came from the actual stores were like stamped and printed. Yeah.
Yeah, and came in those hard ass clear cases before they had the paper. Like you mentioned, the little paper cardboard ones that came in the hard ass plastic covers and stuff.
And look at us showing our age.
Yes.
But at the same time, and again, I also feel like Carrie Kelly, once you saw that tape, why didn't you go to the authorities?
Exactly. Because y'all came from that whole situation where your mother paid off a man, Mr. Henry, for $5,000 for not going to trial and whatnot, and so you've seen that happen before, so you're kind of like just letting that whole thing happen yet again. So that's what we saw in part 2. Now episode 3, that's when it starts getting a little deeper in episode 3, because that's when we start finding out about like more stuff about the whole who was the girl,
well, this is are you speaking of so I think we're going to where we get introduced to a new, I guess, survivor. Is that what you're speaking of? So
a survivor that
we had never heard of.
So and I think we need to hear from her.
And let me tell you, this survivor, I done got into it with a bitch on Twitter over your ass. So this new survivor, she she was the hair braider.
Yes, that's her title. People, she titled her.
Yeah, first clue, the hair braider for R. Kelly. And I want to say, let me see if I name really
Um,
quickly.
let's see. What's her name? What's her
I
name?
know
What's her
her
name?
last name was Carter. I believe her last name was Carter, and I know the first name started with an
Oh,
L. I can't remember
yeah,
if it was.
Lanita. Looking at the sorry picture of her now. Lanita Carter, that was her name. And she met him when she was 24 years old, and she became his again, his quote unquote hair braider.
Yeah, but your ass was too old for the bullshit. But
Yeah.
so yes, so Miss Carter again was introduced as a new survivor on this documentary, and so just like Reggie stated, she met R. Kelly when she was 24 years old. So she states, and it took us a while to kind of get to the point that she was trying to make, because
Yes.
when it came out, and she had actually a pretty long segment,
Mm-hmm.
and so basically, um. she stated that, and I can't remember how she kind of became the hair braider. I don't know how they found her, but what I do remember hearing her say is, she got called, and she would come down there that morning. They would call her in the mornings. Sometimes she would wait about 8-9 hours to put these braids in R. Kelly's hair,
Mm-hmm.
and they paid her $100 fucking.
Yes.
Technically, she only got $20 because she said that she had already had 3 children, and I think, and she's and either I think she was married. I believe she was married, and maybe working her way up to a divorce. But this is how she said that she connected with R. Kelly, because she had talked about, her also having a troubled past.
Mm-hmm.
She talked about, coming from an abusive home,
Mm-hmm.
sexually. She was sexually abused, mentally abused, verbally abused. And then she also, had these 3 kids. And I think they were all by this husband of hers that was also verbally abusive and mentally abusive and physically abusive to her. And so
Mm-hmm.
she stated she connected with Robert on that level, because they both shared, and that's how he was getting y'all bitches,
Yeah.
because he was telling his whole life story to you all. You all felt sorry, you all
Mm-hmm.
stated that you could relate, and that's how one thing would lead to another. But
Exactly.
basically, she was stating that, she had the 3 kids. So when she took them to the babysitter charged her $20 per kid, so that's $60.
Mm-hmm.
Then the cab ride to wherever, I guess, from her home to the studio, or from the babysitters to the studio, was another $20. So by the time she did all that stuff, she was left with $20 after you done waited 8-9 hours. Do you know how many heads your ass could have braided in 8-9 hours?
Exactly. You got
So
Robert Sylvester.
and then the way she talked, she, braided his hair every 2 to 3 days. But,
Mm-hmm.
she even talked about, which was very disturbing for me, that as a child, her mother, which won't shit to her, mother was a bar girl. So sometimes she would have to go to the bar with her mother, and some man at the bar was like fondling her while she was sitting on top of the bar, and she just sat there and ate her potato chips and didn't tell nobody anything, and let this man touch all over her and fondle her and grab her and everything else. So
Exactly.
then she states that once she became, I guess, in her family, known as R. Kelly's hair braider, then that's when her family truly started to have a little bit of respect for her. Because obviously they still ain't really had no respect for her, but she said that they at least allow her to finish her sentences and
Yeah.
talking to complete sentences, and they did not, she didn't feel as invisible as she did prior to becoming his hair braider. But basically she caked for him. So the first part of her segment, she caked for him, and she went hard for him, and she rolled for him. She stated that people were even telling her, well, he ain't shit. She stated that she even had a run-in with Michelle Williams, and
Mm-hmm.
Michelle Williams
Tanika.
asked her, bitch, how old are you? We want to make sure you of age because you in here in his presence.
Mm-hmm.
And again, she stated that, everybody that basically she told that she was, she had some dealings with him. They were stating to her, well, he liked young girls. He got a habit of sexually abusing women, verbally abusing women, physically abusing women. And she said she kept telling everybody she knew he was not like that. They had nothing to be worried about. She had never had a negative experience with him in her life. And on a lot of different levels, he helped her, and he helped her with her self-esteem. And he told her she didn't have to take the shit off her husband. She was too great of a person for that. God had a purpose for her life. He had a plan for her life. It, this was her destiny.
Mm-hmm.
So she stated where it kind of went left for her. I guess she was at the studio, and one of the members of Robert Sylvester's team tried to kiss her and basically tried to fuck her. And when she turned down his advances, somehow or another, when she went back home and got back to R. Kelly, he called her and basically scolded her as if she was a small child, and told her that he should have told her what was going on, even though, she told him that nothing happened between her and this man. She was scared to say something to her, said to say something to him. He went off on her, wouldn't let her get a word in edgewise. So she stated for, I guess, a couple months, she never got a call to come braid his hair. So she states, all of a sudden, one day out the blue, she got a call to come on back and braid his hair. Stayed down there for 8, 9 hours, braided his hair. And she stated that she explained to him that, again, she wanted to apologize about the way things went down. She never meant to disrespect him in any type of way. Again, she was scared to say something. She was scared to say anything about what happened between her and the guy in his camp. She stated that, she absolutely did not do anything with this man. And so I can't remember if this was like on the same day, but she goes into this story about, I guess, she was braiding his hair. So obviously he was sitting in between her legs, and he asked her to give him a head massage. Now, we gonna talk a little bit more about Miss Carter as well. Now, I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna tell you what I believe. Miss Carter was slow. Miss Carter is retarded. And I know that's not the politically correct way of saying it, but Miss Carter is retarded. And
Yes.
so I don't
Something
know
mentally
if,
is not there with her.
huh?
I was just saying something mentally isn't there with her, and
Yeah,
you can just tell her mannerisms, the
yeah,
way she's speaking,
yes,
the
ma'am.
way she's describing the story. It's taking her a long time to get to the point of the story that she's trying to make.
Yeah, all of that.
Yes.
So when he told her to give him a head massage, now I don't know if Miss Carter was having one of her moments or
Mm-hmm.
whether she was just really confused. But she said, I don't get no head massages. I braid hair. I don't give any head massages. And so I don't know if she really knew what he was talking about. Everybody that first heard this knew what he was talking about.
Yes.
And so he said, I'm not talking about the hair on top of my shoulders. I'm talking about the head down here.
The love
Then,
below.
yeah, he pulled, his penis out. And, according to her, according to her, um, again, when she refused his advances, he started to hawk,
Mm-hmm.
um, pretty much cold and saliva and flukies. What they call them, flukies?
Loogies.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
spit on her and spit at her. Then somehow or another, which I don't understand this part, somehow or another, he ended up ejaculating all over her and all over her face and into her eyelashes. And at that point, I had to touch my own eyelashes to make sure they were still intact, because I had an appointment on yesterday. This happened Friday night, and I had an appointment yesterday at 11:20, and I just wanted to make sure.
Yes, because she said she took the washcloth, and again, like we said, she didn't notice that he had mastered all, mayoed all over her face and whatnot. Had gave her a nice surprise.
Rearranged her entire lashes. I don't understand it. She said it wasn't until she went into the bathroom to get her a towel.
What you thought was cocoa butter lotion on your face or something? on Suave lotion? What you thought it was?
So yeah, I don't understand none of this, Miss Carter. And if you listening, maybe okay.
Yeah.
Maybe you can come on this show and explain to us what is really going on with you.
Yeah, clarify some stuff because we're just as confused right now, still to this day, and it's
So
been a few days.
you can tell because I'm exhausted. So you can tell this whole part about the police and how nobody believed her, and
Yeah,
these Revco pills and, and the
yes.
grades, and you can tell that part. Because then I got some more. I'm gonna go ahead and take me a quick 5-10 minute break, and then I got some more because I want to say a special fuck you to a bitch on Twitter.
So yes, like you said, so after everything went down, she was, um, triggered. She was, upset that this had happened to her and her eyelashes. So she then called the well, first she was called her big cousin. It was like, come to the studio now. I need you to come fight him. And he was basically like, and that's what again.
So nobody gonna be out here fighting.
Exactly. Like, this is first off, this R. Kelly. He got bodyguards
And
and
security
yeah,
that
we're
will
gonna
whip my
see
ass.
later in the video too. I mean, episode 2, we talk about the security guards later as well with another family. But the security, he was like, got security guards. Like, what the fuck you think I'm gonna do? Risk my life? So no, call the police like a normal person would. So she called, and this how you can tell she a bitch from the hood. Cause why you gonna call your cousin and not call the police? But anyways, and you just a hair braider. And it makes me think back too. R. Kelly did have a song, like, I gave him hell for this song back in the day on the Doc Report. But he had a song called Hair Braider that came out like 2006 or 2007.
Well, there
This
you have it.
this right after he stole well, it was before he stole Bow Wow's song I'm a Flirt and then made it his own song. But he yeah, he had a song called Hair Braider. So Carter, you the inspiration behind that song Hair Braider. Now the song got a whole new meaning now. But so she called the police. They basically the cop cars come out, like she said, it was cop cars from every direction. They all out there and stuff like that. The detectives come out there. They look for any type of clues or evidence, anything like that. They couldn't find anything. She go back and say, all right, well, can you find my supply bag? I have a black bag with my comb, my softy grease, and my hair growth stuff that I put in his creases of his edges and stuff like that. Whatever she had in her bag, she had all her supplies in there. Her plastic combs with the tooth at the end, the part the hair and whatnot. So, so she go, hold on, y'all, the train. Y'all know the train.
People get ready. There's a train coming. Don't need no ticket. You just get on board. Shout out to Curtis Mayfield.
Yes. But anyway, so they detectives say they can't find the bag at all. So then the next thing she said, now I couldn't understand her because she was talking so fast, And again, not the I actually know people because my dad was a social worker, so he actually worked with people with mental retardation and people who were mentally
Well, hey.
stuff
You
like
also
that.
know another social worker, not just Papa
Oh,
Scott.
I mean, of course you too, but I mean, I actually see my dad and feel like he would bring some of his clients home and stuff like that.
You know Papa Scott was a social worker.
Yeah. So, at one of the homes here, it was off Baker Road. I can't remember. It was Community something. One of them, Community Alternatives. One of them companies, something like that. But yeah, so I know people who have, who mine is not like everyone else's. So when she was mentioning this last part, when the detective say, come up with something fast, because I need something to trying to get them on because I can't find nothing you're trying to say right now. And that's when she's that, I don't know if she was trying to say Revco. Now, shout out to Revco people now. This again showing our age, but there was a pharmacy and little store called Revco. It was like the Walgreens back in the day and whatnot. And
yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah, they were popping until they got bankrupt, but Eckerd bought them out, and Eckerd, I don't know if y'all know about Eckerd, but then Eckerd got bought by Rite Aid, and now Rite Aid over there too. So that whole chain, that whole is just a whole karma filled situation with that.
People really need to get your medicine filled at Walmart.
Yes. But I don't know if she's trying to say Revco pills, but she said some type of pills.
Yeah, and I couldn't understand what she was saying. So I don't know if there was some type of painkiller, some type of some type of narcotic. What kind of? And I rewinded a couple times. I couldn't
Exactly.
get what she was saying. But
Exactly.
whatever it was, the pills was sitting in front of a Grammy.
The 2 Grammys, yeah. And so they found the pills, and then that's when they researched everything. They saw her bag in the dumpster, and that's when they were able to complete the investigation as far as that. So they turned over the case to the state attorney, and that she basically, at first, she called the same attorney that we talked about, Tiffany Hawkins, earlier, the TV lawyer. The TV lawyer basically said, "You too old. I don't believe you. Like you can't, we can't take this case right now." So then they, after she felt the grand jury process, because she described the people as mean. She said that the grand jury basically didn't believe her, and they were just basically, it just wasn't going in her favor. So after the failed grand jury process, Lanita then was advised to pursue the legal case with a civil case, and that's when she contacted against Susan Logan's and Associates, who settled at least a dozen R. Kelly sexual abuse suits before. They had to sign a non-disclosure agreement to receive a settlement. So the firm took a third of the money settled each time, according to Ian Alexander, who represented Tiffany Hawkins. That's when Lanita said, "I did not want to sue R. Kelly at any time. I didn't want him to apologize, or I wanted him to be criminally charged." And at first, that sounds stupid to begin with, again, but that's neither here nor there with her. But then she did. That's when the associates, Susan and Logan's, and them didn't believe her because they said she was too old to be a R. Kelly victim. So that's when she was sent to another attorney, and the case was settled in 3 months. So since the case, she became a nurse. She is empowering people through education. She's trying to get her master's degree and trying to have a PhD and whatnot. But the only reason why she came forward now is because of the fact that the NDA, when the Kimberly Fox from the Cook County State Attorney told all the survivors, no matter if you got an NDA or whatever, to come forward and talk to us, that's when she was able to speak without any, reprimanding or anything coming back on her, because of the fact that legally she's allowed to now. So that's how that all happened. But yeah, basically the interview, that part of the special started closing out when, like we said earlier, R. Kelly taking these little girls, and he's vibing with them on the whole, I was abused as well, and pulling at their vulnerability and making them feel like, okay, I feel sorry for him, so now I can relate to him. But now he got you triggered, and he got you caught in his web, and now you're falling for everything that he's saying because he makes you feel comfortable because of the fact that y'all share that common bond of something that happened that was a trauma, and now he's using that same trauma against you.
And so what I would like to do at this time is give a big special bitch fuck you, kiss my ass to, and you can eat all my pussy and everything else to at, I guess this is NTRL underscore WMN, and I guess that stands for natural woman. So when we were looking at this again, Doc and I have basically stated that we are very prevalent on Twitter. And so we tweet about the shows, and I tweet about the things that are across my HD. So I tweeted, "Okay, Lifetime, why are y'all exploiting this hair braider like this? Y'all can see that she is not the brightest crayon in the coloring case." So this young lady tweets me, and she states that I was being abusive and nasty. And how was that uplifting woman? And bitch, let me tell you something. I'm not up here to uplift a motherfucking person. I'm up here to tweet about what is coming across my HD. Everybody can look at this young lady and tell that her ass was retarded and something was wrong with her. First of all, she goes by the hair braider. So most people would say, okay, I was the hairstylist or whatever. Then everybody was talking about, look how long it's taking her to get to the point. And what the things that I was stating is I felt like Lifetime exploited her, and they took
Mm-hmm.
advantage of the fact that they knew that something was wrong with her. Because again, you can't tell me. Again, I get on national TV, and again, I understand that these are her life experiences. But what I felt like is you need to be talking to somebody other than a Lifetime camera about the things that you have been through. First of all, you up here talking about you sat around and waited for 8 or 9 hours to braid R. Kelly's hair, and technically you only got paid $20. If that ain't retarded, I don't know what is. Cause do you know how many the heads you could have braided and waiting 8 or 9 hours and it gotten more than $20?
Exactly.
And then, again, and I'm just gonna be honest with you, she looked like Precious and she acted just like Precious. And again, I think that Lifetime honed in on that and they cashed in on that. Everybody could look at her and say that her ass was retarded and
Exactly.
something was wrong with her. So, bitch, fuck you. I'm not up here to uplift nobody. I'm up here talking about what I see, and she needs some type of help. And don't call me no nasty, because what she did was she said, and I told her, I said, listen. I said, because the young lady, then she tweeted me because I said, ain't nobody being nasty and ain't nobody being abusive. I am telling you what I see. And I feel like the Lifetime exploited her and they took advantage of her knowing that she may not be the brightest of all the crayons in the coloring case. And so, and again, I am telling you that the things that she's stating, like the things that she's stating, is just not normal. I said, so I feel like she needs to go seek some type of help. Again, she needs to be, because she said her response said something like, she chose to come on the show. She knew that the cameras, she sat in front of the camera, so she knew that she was going to be filmed. And again, that may be all very well and true, but that does not negate the fact that this girl has a problem. And so she said I was up there, teasing her about her mental capacity. What I'm saying to you as someone who's qualified to say when someone has an issue, because again, yet I am a social worker, again, and work with people who have mental illnesses, you need to go seek some professional help. You sit
Yeah.
up here talk about being fondled while you eating a bag of potato chips sitting on top of a bar. And then you're talking about how your family, how you were invisible, and how they didn't even allow you to talk and complete, and they didn't allow you to complete a sentence until you became, famous in their eyes and known as R. Kelly's hair braided. Bitch, you think that's normal? I didn't grow up in that type of household. That is
Exactly.
not normal. And
Exactly.
again, all of these, she's talking about a series of one traumatic experience after the other. She does need to seek some help, and she needs to talk to somebody other than a Lifetime camera. And so then she said to me, and so then by this point, when I saw her next reply, I was getting my lashes done. And she said, I was a nasty, vile person. I was a nasty, vile, vicious person or whatever. And bitch, like I said, fuck you. Because I know what I am and I know who I am. And that's certainly not that or whatever. But again, I called it like I said, and I called the thing a thing. That girl, something is wrong with her. Lifetime knew it and they cashed in on that. And all I'm saying is, in addition to that, she needs to get some type of help or whatever. Because again, she's had these traumatic experiences, and you can't tell me the things that she's been through, that she shouldn't talk to somebody.
Exactly. And so cause I didn't, because I know I've been on Twitter, just basically been
Yeah,
tweeting about
because the bitch
her.
blocked me. Yeah, because the bitch blocked me. You know what I'm saying? And again, and I'm not here to go tit for tat for anybody on social media. It seems like I always get there. I may say some things, and then somebody may not agree or whatever, and that's fine. That's your opinion. And like I told her, I stand on what I stand. I said what I said, and I stand on it. I believe that they exploited her. I believe that they saw. Excuse me. I believe that they saw her as somebody who was not that bright, who was not that smart, and they honed in on that.
Exactly. Now here's the part, because I'm looking at this last reply she sent to you. She's basically was like she said, we're calling you Monique, deflecting from calling her
Yeah,
not
and see, I couldn't
covering.
see. I saw a snippet of it, And like I said, I was getting ready to get my lashes done. So when I got ready to respond to her afterwards, I couldn't see it and she had blocked me. So you can read it because I can't see it anymore.
Oh yeah, because she said, Monique, deflecting from calling her not the brightest crayon in the coloring cases isn't going to work. You're a nasty woman who is the worst kind of woman because you insult other women who are obviously not capable of defending themselves. And basically, you're just basically saying what we're basically saying. She's not well. She's mentally unable, mentally unstable, and she's on this camera talking like this. But anyways, then she says, "I'm not one of those women. Do better." And then she said in the next tweet, "Or don't. We can all choose to be who we want to be. I guess you have chosen to be a cunt." All right, now, with this thing on your page, to whom all blessings flow. Natural woman, fuck you and completely fuck you. But I'm riding for my big sister on this one because look. First off, I'm looking at your page now. You don't got no media up here. I don't see no pictures of you and whatnot. I just see all GIFs and stuff like that. You got this holier than thou tagline on your page, to whom all blessings flow. And
And
talking
something
about
about
awesome
the budget
stuff.
and all this other stuff. But yeah, but I have you know to whom our blessings flow. And this has nothing to do with anything. But again, I know who I am and whose I am. But yesterday when I went into the Dollar Tree to get a birthday card for my girlfriend or whatever. You know, I believe in paying it forward. I believe in being a blessing to someone. So the young lady that was behind me, I said, okay, well, bitch, you put your stuff on here with mine and I'm gonna pay for it. And she said, oh no, you don't have to do that. I said, yes, I am going to do that. And I said, all I ask you to do is just pay it forward and you be a blessing to somebody else. So again, I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I know who I am. And again, I know what I saw. And that is what I
Exactly.
saw. And I feel like they exploited her.
Exactly. So, naturally, woman, again, you dealing with people who actually in that field who actually know things. You didn't take the time to ask Monique, okay, so how do you know about this or whatever? You just start clapping back immediately, and you the same type of person who kiss dogs in the mouth. So you just nasty in particular. But we see what we see.
And bitch,
People
I
saying
got your
worse.
cunt.
Yes, got your cunt in the trunk. But people are saying far worse on social media than what Monique said or what I said. But we're stating the obvious, like Monique is stating the true obvious that this girl is not well, and it's right there in front of our faces. And if you're blind to see that, then you're part of the problem because you're just allowing her to be sensationalized by this company, by this television network and these producers, instead of saying, you know what, like you said too, she's someone that's unable to defend herself. Okay, then why she continue talking then? We need her to be on someone's couch talking and letting that shit go and then come back and be able to talk further in detail without still being shaken or not getting complete sentences out or still dealing with childhood trauma that you clearly have not gotten over because of the fact that you're still talking like a little child. Like you're not talking like a full adult who has a grandchild and 3 children. You're talking like a somebody that's still in the child mentality of their mind who has not gotten over shit from back in the day. And that's just calling it how I see it.
Yeah, like I said, I'm just saying all these traumatic experiences you named, one right behind another. There is no way that you should not be talking to someone and trying to work through those things. And like I said, you could just and everybody and again, I wasn't teasing her. What I said was, you know, there should be a shame for exploiting her like that. Everybody up there could see something was wrong with her ass. Because again, even before I tweeted it out, I was looking at the comments and the tweets and stuff. Everybody was like, okay, so again, what is the hair braid's purpose? Because again, it took her so long to say what she was saying. None of it initially made any type of sense. And again, you sit up here talking about 20 you sat around, they would have you wait for 8-9 hours and the only thing you got out there was $20. If
Exactly.
that ain't retarded, I don't know what is.
Exactly. So, natural woman, we invite you on FNL. You know what? If you want to have a
Come
conversation,
on up here, bitch,
if
because
like a
I
big
got your
girl,
cunt. I'm gonna show you exactly what a cunt is, bitch.
exactly, mess with bad news dog. If you want to have a conversation with bad news dog, come on the show. We're gonna talk real nice. We're gonna have a nice conversation. Come on, we invite you here. So, anyways, that's enough airtime for you, natural woman, the cunt. Anyways, so back to the special now. So that was a little intermediate, a little break right there, a little intermission, if you will, for a clap back here on FNL. So the next episode after we deal
And
with
again, and just to cut you off real quick,
Mhm.
and again, you don't have to agree with the things I say. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to do that. That's not what it's up. She's like, and how's it uplifting people? Bitch, I ain't here to uplift her up. I'm talking about what I see across my HD.
Yeah,
Something is wrong with her. And again, I don't expect everybody to agree with the things that I say. And that is the purpose of us having our platform in this show, is to talk about what we see. And sometimes it's in, the best taste. Sometimes it's not always in the best taste. Is we here for shits and giggles. And we don't mean to offend anybody, but again,
we give it to you real though. Like it's real
that
to
we give it to you, straight up with no chaser.
exactly. So anyways, so like we talked about earlier in the episode where Dominique basically was on this part 4, and we got more detail on her again with her relationship with her mother and stuff like that. How it started with her, and basically this part where she went into detail about her experience, because last time we got experiences through the mother and what she insinuated may have happened with her daughter, but now we got the direct word from Dominique, how she said that it was this dynamic relationship between her, Ezra, and Joycelyn, that she was the most rebellious out of the bunch, and she faced punishment a lot because she basically talked back, or when R. Kelly would tell her to move or to come here at a party, she wouldn't come here, she'd just sit right there. And again, that's what you expect. I mean, you can tell from her demeanor that she was kind of like more tougher than the other girls. So she was the most rebellious. So her punishment involved being locked in a room for days at a time with little to no food. He once pulled her so hard that or pull her hair so hard out of punishment that that's the reason why she had the low cut, because she said that they got in a fight and he would pull her hair so hard. Now first I'm like, okay, now I don't know if he had thin hair or something happened to her.
I hate you, some alopecia going on, but she said when
Exactly.
she started combing her hair, it just all started just coming out. So she ended up having to cut her hair. Now, we don't think that's what it was. The rumor was, bitch, that he wanted you to be a whole ass little boy.
Yes, because when the producer asked you about the rumors that your masculine appearance was to please R. Kelly's desire to be a little boy, you just said I'm not going to speak on that. So basically, you're just giving that away. You're basically just saying when people say I'm not speaking on that, and we kind of see it in our face, you're basically saying, yeah, he wanted me to be a little boy. Cause like I told y'all,
I'm
R. Kelly,
putting some
little
vitamin
boy.
E around these edges right now as we speak.
I know I got my free oil right now. I just want to be safe on this, when I wake up in the morning. So she said that I was not aware of Robert having attractions to boys until a couple of girls in the house started to talk about there being a guy that he was involved with who would sometimes come into the bedroom with them. Set an anonymous employee, because there was this anonymous employee who had the whole, when the people want to be anonymous, they got this deep voice filter over
Sounded
it.
like Big Frida's. But
Yeah,
you know what? This was the same employee that was on the documentary last year as
the first
well.
time, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and like I've been telling you on FNL people, Wendy Williams, it was a transfer back on Wendy Williams show a long time ago, back in 2003 or four, and she said that she was dealing with a singer in Chicago who used to go to basketball courts and McDonald's and pick up little kids and pick up little boys as well from the basketball court. And it was him and another R&B singer that's from Chicago. Now I was trying to wrap my mind about who it might have been. Some people saying it's Brian McKnight, even though Brian McKnight isn't directly from Chicago, but they saying it was another R&B singer that was in Chicago at that same time. But people in the street saying it's Brian McKnight, but that's not here nor there. Anyways, so so after the rescue mission, that's when we talked about too that that Dominique went back to check on Joyce and Azrael to see if they were still with Kelly. She left again. She wrote the note to Joyce, and she made it in time to go to her. She left again after the singer didn't allow her to go to her brother's graduation, and she never looked back. She said it took me 9 years to leave, and sometimes even when we're looking at the special, it don't seem like it's been that long. But she says it took her 9 years to leave. And basically that's when we start seeing the interview with Gayle King and the backlash and everything that started happening with him and the jokes and people, and like how we on the show we joke around with it, and but we like being serious at the same time, but it's like there's stuff that you gotta make light of situations because like it's a heavy dark situation and we're making jokes, but we're not making jokes in the mean way. We're making jokes in a way of like, okay, now y'all know this shit's crazy, whatever. In the Saturday Night Live when Kenan Thompson he played R. Kelly in the cold opening about the whole R. Kelly thing. And one of the interviewers is like, well, people shouldn't take shots or jokes about this because it's not funny and stuff like that. But like I said, you gotta have jokes, have light with this situation, not about the victims, but just the fact of R. Kelly's actions. That's what we're joking about, his actions. Him speaking in third person, him flaring and throwing arms and stuff in the Gayle King interview.
Kelly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all in good fun or whatever, and again, we're always going to speak on things that don't make sense to us, ain't right to us. And I think that's one of the things that Reggie and I feed off each other on.
Mm-hmm.
Just from day one, we could be watching something on TV and we might not even be on the phone, but I may call him, hey, you looking at so and so and so.
Yes.
That shit don't make no sense. Or I get a call from him. You did you see so and so? You watching this?
Yeah.
That shit don't make no sense. So again, we're always gonna speak on the things that just sound far fetched and does not make any sense to us. But what part the last part of the documentary occurred again last night.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't watch it until today because I was at the birthday party.
Getting your new hustle.
Yes. So I don't know, were you finished talking about Dominique and her mom and everything?
Yeah, so that was that. Then also in this last part of the episode, we met and we talked about her a long time ago on FNL, but we never really had any information on her. But she finally piped up Hallie Calhoun, who was his 21-year-old girlfriend at the time when she was 20. She met him at a South Carolina show with her mom. Again, another parent bringing their child to an R. Kelly concert. But anywho, so that's when she described the time with her. They basically just vibe from there, and that he was his girlfriend. I remember talking about this a long time ago, that R. Kelly had a young girlfriend who was 20, 21 years old, and she had this curly blonde hair, and she was just like his arm piece. And that's when we started hearing the allegations about the other little girls, or like Azrael and Joycelyn and all of them, in the little quote unquote cult. And that's when I think I asked the question, like, okay, so where's this girl in the whole equation? Because I haven't heard anything from her since it's just been Joycelyn and Azrael as the two main new girls as of late. So anyways, so she basically said that she made her mother sign false documents, and all this other stuff about them. So it was that got into an altercation because he thought she was looking for another man. She shoved him because he was yelling in her face after the fight. She had bruises on her face and neck, according to the anonymous employee. She eventually broke up with R. Kelly, but described their interactions as something akin to normal fights significant others and family members have. She said sometimes abuse and one of the doctors said sometimes abuse at an early age teaches you that love is violence. And we basically learned from Love is Blind back in the day from even Faith Evans. So, but that was that part of that situation there that we finally got to hear Hallie Calhoun talk about her time with R. Kelly, because again, she was one of the main ones who was like the young girlfriend a few years ago, but we never heard anything from her. So then that's when we get into the last part of the interview.
Oh, I don't remember seeing that part. I must have fell asleep on that part.
Oh yeah, but hers wasn't that significant. It was just she was there for like 10 minutes. But then we get to the last final part of the interview, and this when we get more into detail about Azrael and Joycelyn. And
yeah, so
more specifically about Azrael, because we're gonna talk about her family real quick now.
So you guys know Azrael Clary and Joycelyn Savage. They are like the last two girls standing that are I guess they're still hanging on or in love and hang around with R. Kelly. So last year we were introduced to their parents in the documentary. So Azrael Clary, her parents actually originally I think are from Baltimore.
Yeah, from Baltimore. Yep. Because that's what we talked about on the last time. Because we were like, okay, y'all from Baltimore, but little Azrael dressing like she shopped at Justin's and Hot Topic and Spencer's, so she became a little white girl when she moved to Florida. But anyways,
so yes, her parents moved down to Florida, and so they stated last year on the documentary, basically it was the daddy's birthday, They took a vacation and they went to a R. Kelly concert, which I don't understand this at all. I could see if the mom and daddy had gone to the concert, and okay. So I could see if the mom and dad had gone to the concert, but they took. It sounds like the whole family, and it sounds like they were very very much close to the front of the stage, and so they allowed R. Kelly and his camp to pull their daughter on stage, and so somehow or another, after the concert was over, Azra Clary ended up behind or backstage with R. Kelly. And so by the time her parents, the story goes, by the time her parents got backstage, she had already been talking to him. I guess she had told him that she wanted to be a singer. And so, he told her basically he could work with her. R. Kelly told her that he could work with her. He could put her on. He was going to write a couple of songs. He would produce this, that, and the third. So, um, I guess they state that you know, um, unbeknownst to them, there was a couple times where she had met up with R. Kelly, and so they said one day they both were working. The parents were working, and they get a call stating that she was. I guess R. Kelly was down in Tampa, Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and somehow or another she was down there. She was down there meeting. So they state that the parents state that they both leave their jobs and they go to Tampa, Florida. So when they get there to wherever studio, wherever he was at, they see her car there, and they go there, and she's already, by this time she is already, I guess, talking to him about, I guess him putting her on this, that, and the third. So her parents state that they were furious with her and told her that she could not go see him by herself anymore. So they state that she starts making all kind of threats. And this is again in the last documentary. She starts making all type of threats and stating she was going to do A, B, and C to herself. So, um, if she couldn't see him. So I don't know. I can't really remember how it gets into the fact that she runs off with him. But we see from last year's documentary, we see that they've made a couple of attempts. They've done welfare checks.
Mm-hmm.
And then the police get out there and state that there's nothing that they can do. For one, the girls don't seem to be in any imminent danger. And then also, by this time, they're grown. So there's nothing that they can do. We see them last year throwing rocks and pebbles outside the studio. The mama dressed in shorts and a t-shirt. The daddy got on a leather coat and boots and the whole. So again, so then we speeded on up. Last year, the infamous Robin Roberts interview comes out, and she sits down with Joycelyn Savage and Azriel Clary. Now they state Azriel Clary and Joycelyn both, the question gets asked, was it, did you all get involved with him because you all wanted to be singers and you all were promised this singing career by Robert Kelly? They state that that is a complete lie. Both of them state that their parents are lying. They were the ones pushing this singing career on them. They never wanted to be singers whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So then it kind of fast forwards to this year or this documentary. So now we hear from Azriel Clary's brother and her dad and her sister, but her mother is not on the documentary. So the brother states that his dad was very much hurt by Azriel Clary, basically calling her parents liars and stating that they forced her into this whole singing thing, even though they show all these various home videos and tapes and whatnot of her singing the Star Spangled Banner. It looks like she entered into a couple different like talent shows and things like that, and all these various, I guess different videos. Either she wanted to be a singer or the bitch wanted to be a model, one of
Yeah.
the two. So, anyway, the brother states that his dad was very hurt. His parents were very hurt by that. And because she pretty much flat out, was hollering and screaming and calling them a bunch of liars.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is where it gets a little fuzzy for me. Because he goes into, and you and I talked about this. This is one of those things where we picked up the phone and was like, "Did you get any of this? Did any of this make sense?" Well, he goes into a story stating that they had got wind that R. Kelly was going to be in concert in Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
Him and his mama go to the concert. Somehow or another, they first of all, there was speculation that the concert was going to be canceled because this was during that whole hashtag mute R. Kelly, and
Yeah.
that was when they were canceling a bunch of the concerts. Like the concert in Chicago got canceled, concerts in Atlanta got canceled. This particular concert, which I didn't understand, this is the other thing that don't make sense either. Because how could they cancel all those concerts, but they didn't cancel the one in Tampa, Florida? So that was questionable as well, because they didn't even cancel the concert from his home. They canceled the concert from his hometown in Chicago and all these other cities and states. But this is the only concert that doesn't get canceled.
Yeah.
Somehow he states him and his mom, they end up in the front. And R. Kelly brings out, has all these girls on stage with him, and Joycelyn Savage and Israel Clary are one of the two girls or women that he has on stage. Him and his mama go, I guess, closest to the side of the stage where is Azrael Clary was. And so so the brother states that because they know that R. Kelly has this thing for pulling women up on the stage, the mama positions herself where she makes sure she gets pulled up on the stage. He
Mm-hmm.
says that she gets pulled up on the stage. And I was like, well, I thought they pulled young ladies up here, not old ass ladies. But this again, like none of this makes any sense because he like to pull the young bitches up, not the old
Yeah.
bitches.
Mm-hmm.
So she states that she gets pulled up on the stage. So then, but when she gets pulled up on the stage, she goes over to where Azrael Clary is. The security guards can see her getting closer to her, but she feels like it almost sound like the woman with the issue of blood and Jesus. If she could just, she said, if she could just touch the girl, even if they yanked her, as long as she was holding on to her daughter, if when they yanked her, she would be able to pull her daughter with her.
Yeah.
So she says that's exactly what happened. Once she got close to her daughter, the security guards come bum rushing her, and they end up somehow or another end up she ends up backstage. The son states that he jumps up on the stage. The security guard grabs him. He's able to break through like two of the security guards. Somehow he is a backstage. But somehow or another, this fight, him and his mother end up fighting the security guard, and they end up in the back of the police car.
Yeah.
And again, my question was, none of this sounds like it makes any sense. Secondly, where was the daddy? Why did whose husband and daddy allows his wife and son to go get beat up by the R. Kelly security guards?
Right. And you already knew too that it, like even the mother knew that it was no way in hell that you're going to get your daughter from off the stage. And I'm trying to even too. I like. I'm pretty sure there were like pictures and cameras and stuff like that, or video footage. Why we never saw no in the words of Cardi B, we see the footages. Why haven't we seen the footage? Because every little crescent of a stage situation, people can capture that on stage. We didn't see nothing, but that's your
I
story.
heard about none of this on social media. None of this hit the blogs. None of it.
Exactly. But let
And
the sun
so
tell it. Y'all got arrested. Got put in it. Y'all, your security grabbed your foot. She grabbed your mother, put her headlock and everything. Then y'all got put in the police cars. Okay.
these tall tales and fables, honey. It's so then the husband, which was kind of bizarre. He kept stating that, it has done nothing but, this whole situation has done nothing but draw a wedge in between him and his wife. I noticed that he wasn't even wearing his wedding band. And he
Mm-hmm.
stated that, for the kids, they tried to hold it together as much as they could and tried to save face. He said, but they were silently blaming each other, and they were always constantly arguing, and it was always, where's your fault? You let it get put up on stage. It's your fault because you wasn't watching her more closely. It's your fault, this, that, and the third. So he kept saying my wife, but I don't know if they're still together or not.
Yeah.
So then their segment kind of ended. They let the oldest girl, Isis, come up, and she was just stating again that the whole situation has ripped her family completely apart. Her parents' relationship is very much strained. And then she was stating that she has a son, and all he does is ask about Azriel. He calls her Auntie T, and then they showed this video of him saying, Auntie T, when are you coming home? I want you to come home, Auntie T. Auntie T, I miss you. Please come home, Auntie T.
Say,
So,
hmm.
you know, that was Azriel Clary. And I guess you
Yeah.
can talk about these fucking savages.
Yeah, so y'all know our feeling about the Savages. I'm pretty sure we talked about it on the show because me and Monique always talk about everything. And so the Savages, they were the first people to, pretty much the first to start piping up about this cult and whatnot since back in the day, since we started talking about it. Before the Surviving R. Kelly specials even came to light, they were basically saying that their daughter's, in a sense, kidnapped. She's, they haven't seen her in 3 years. They don't know her about her whereabouts. That's when Joycelyn got on TMZ, did that interview, and she said that she's okay, she's good. She was about to tell where she was at until R. Kelly or his old what's his crisis manager, someone was shadowing them to shut the fuck up, and you can see the shadow in the shirt, and she was like, I'm gonna speak on that right now. I'm good. So
This
basically,
sounds just like her because that bitch is crazy.
yes. So they've been piping up and stuff like that, and in a sense, now before it kind of seemed like they were just, they were genuine, at first. But then me and Monique started sensing some like, okay, something about y'all a little fucked off. Like something don't seem quite right. And then that's when we started seeing them, piping up a lot in the interviews and doing press conferences and stuff like that, where they could have just been calling the damn police. But then here they go on YouTube, on Joycelyn's channel on YouTube. The sister, the middle sister, she out here peddling some hair cares and some wigs and units and shit. The parents got a reality show. It's
Got a whole reality show. Then
yes,
every step they make, they filming it and putting it on social media for likes and views and
I know, all in the party.
clickbait.
Yes, all in the party
Yeah,
city,
down the
throwing
party
birthday
city.
parties for Joyce and she not even there. Okay, now.
Yeah, and then you guys know we didn't talk about this either on the show because we never had a show. But recently, this was just as recent as what, about a month ago, there was some Instagram account
Mm-hmm.
that was supposed to be Joycelyn Savages. Turns out, stating that she wanted to tell her story.
Yeah,
But it
you
turns
had to
out that it
pay.
was something. Yeah, it was something, I guess, made up by the family.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like they them and that fuck ass attorney that they had, maybe just kind of be out, for trying. I think they just kind of want the limelight, and they
Mm-hmm.
looking to get put on any way they can. They just want to be famous. In the words, what of our girl, um, what was that girl from Fix My Life?
Oh,
What is?
Jackie.
Yeah, Jackie just want to be famous.
Yes.
So, um, now we, with the Savages, we get introduced to a new group of people in a circle.
Mm-hmm.
The motherfuckers we had never seen of or heard of. Apparently, and again, Joycelyn Savage, again, when they did the Robert Roberts interview, when they were asked, again, were you all looking to become singers, and did you all get engaged, or did you all start becoming involved with Robert Kelly, because he told you all that he was going to get you all into the music industry? They, adamantly, she again adamantly denied, both her and Azra Clary, they both adamantly denied wanting to be singers. And again, the same thing, they were showing videos and videos of Joycelyn singing. Well, they really didn't show any videos of her singing, but they had her sister saying, we used to sing all the time, we sang every chance we got. It was either we both were gonna start a girl group, and it was either, if we weren't going to sing, we were gonna be models. And so
Yeah,
they did show a bunch of different pictures of her in various
studios and
yeah, and again, I'm gonna say some things. Everybody may not agree. I don't give a shit. But even the pictures that they showed, that bitch is grown.
yes,
So, you know, even those pictures, and then you and I talked about it. Even that little sister, I don't know how old she is, but she looks like she's older than me. And
yeah,
and again, those pictures that they showed of Jocelyn Savage, even as a teenager, there was one picture where she had some type of, like, she had some curly hair coming down in the front, looked like a braid coming down on the side,
yeah,
and this thing tied around her face. And she, I guess, was about 15, 16 in that picture. But you look like you was 22.
exactly. Face just is beating everything.
Yeah. So, and then that was the other thing, getting back to them parents. Then, they stated that the mom and daddy had all these boutiques in Atlanta. And, they
Take
was looking for
yearly
people to
trips to
come up.
Disney World every year is a tradition. So I was like, okay, y'all got money somewhere. But then that's when we start getting with the music. We start learning these new people who have not popped up in the scene at all. No,
And we ain't never heard about these people. But apparently, yeah, Joyce and Savage supposedly had a songwriter and a producer that she was working with.
mm-hmm.
And this is again where it gets fuzzy for me, because the story last year was, I can't remember how they don't really say, I can't remember how they said that she met R. Kelly, Joycelyn, but they state that her parents state that they learned that she has run off with him, because dad state, and they never state what school she was at, but whatever school she was at, the dad went to pay the tuition, and they found out that she had disenrolled herself from school. And when they got to the school, she had packed up her dorm room, everything was gone. They said that the roommate told them that, here and there she would basically come to the room, maybe stay a night, and then she would be gone for maybe 3 nights, come back, then she gone for another 2 nights. She would go to class, but then maybe she would cut out of class early, and then she would be gone to R. Kelly's. And then the dad stated that when he went to pay the tuition for the spring semester, they found out that she basically had completely disenrolled.
So yeah, so they didn't really talk again how they met, but like this roommate, they basically just said she
She was the one
went
that
to
kind
class.
of ratted her out and stated that
Yeah,
she
and
was.
that's how we started learning more about the Savages and their quest for trying to find Joycelyn after all these years. But these producers and songwriters, so the songwriter was Antonio Booz, and the producer, I don't think I got his name up here, but what's his name?
Well, he really didn't say too much. He just
Yeah,
nodded his head yes and no. It was the
yeah, so
songwriter that was doing all the talking.
yeah, so we can call him Mute. So the songwriter Antonio and the producer Mute, because we don't know what the fuck his name is, and we didn't really hear him say nothing. Like you said, he just shook his head. Nah, he was just the extra in the background. So basically, he was saying that they're working with Joycelyn. Like again, we didn't know these people from a can of paint because we didn't know she had her own producer and songwriter all these years. So now they just piping up. So she got her own producer and songwriter. They doing songs and stuff like that. He's saying that she wanted to be the next Well, she had inspiration from Aaliyah and Sierra, so she wanted to be in that same range as them. And basically, they were in the studio, and she got this opportunity to meet R. Kelly, which again, we still trying to figure out how exactly did she meet Robert Sylvester, but they met at the show, and that he promised he was going to help her sign to Sony Records, which was a big lie. First off, Sony Records isn't just Sony Records. It's R. Kelly's under RCA Records, which was formerly Jive Records, which is under Sony Music. So you have RCA Records, you have Columbia Records, you have Epic Records, all under the Sony umbrella. So again, you just making the promise of signing Sony Records, but exactly what record label in particular. And again, R. Kelly does not have his own record label, so that's what I'm trying to tell y'all girls this whole time. R. Kelly does not have his own record label. Hell, when he had Sparkle, he didn't have his own record label. When he had K. Michelle back in the day, he didn't have his own record label. Remember JS? It was the two sisters, JS. They had one song called Ice Cream. The one sister ended up marrying Ron Isley. But that's not here nor there too, because I think but anyways, so yeah. So
and what happened to Changing Faces?
Exactly. I don't know. Stroke you up and whatnot.
Stroke you up.
And also, here's the other thing too, people, that's kind of weird, but in a weird way. So Changing Faces had the song Come Over. And remember, Aaliyah had recorded her version of Come Over as well with Tank. And that Aaliyah's posthumous album, I Care For You, after she passed away, and that song ended up being big on radio when she passed away. But it was originally a Change of Faces song. So that same R. Kelly connection had always been haunting Aaliyah for a long time. So, but anyways. So yeah, the producer and the songwriter said that, she was going to take this trip to Oklahoma to meet with him. And first off, I'm like, Oklahoma, okay, R. Kelly we never heard him have ties to Oklahoma, so that's weird. So she asked a friend to go with her. The friend said she couldn't make it. And then she asked the producer and the songwriter to go with her, but then the songwriter said that R. Kelly said, no, I don't like others creators to be around me, other songwriters. But you should know that was a bold-faced lie, because R. Kelly is working with other people like Michael Jackson.
Yeah, she said that he told her that it was intimidating, and because they were in the same line of work,
or maybe
they should not be, meshed with each other. And so the songwriter stated, like, he thought that was weird, and he, but again, y'all never told her parents.
Exactly. Like, where the parents at to say, okay, well, one of us can go with you, even though you're of age. Like, maybe one of us can go with you to, take this trip by yourself. Like, it may be your first trip by yourself as well. It sounds like an unaccompanied minor situation. But anyways.
And so she said she ends up going out there by herself, which then turns into pretty much everywhere he was. She ended up meeting up with him, which then in turn him talking her into coming to live with him on his compound.
Mm-hmm. So then that's when the songwriter is piping up all up into this interview. So then he said that Robert would that she'll continue seeing Robert without her parents knowing, and then after her father, Mr. Savage, found out she was having sex with him, he told her that she needed to focus on school and stop doing music. So Joycelyn, that's when she dropped out of college. Remember, she, like we said before, she unenrolled herself from classes, dropped out, withdrew from classes, and stopped contacting her family, and that was from that point there. So then we get to the part where they get to the Trump Towers trying to find her, and where they was staying in Chicago. Then we have her sister, the two younger sisters at that, and the parents, and they call they get. See, this is what I'm trying to figure out too. Why did the mother or the father? Why did y'all not call the police to get the wellness check? Why did y'all call?
Why did y'all put the daughter up to doing it? First of all, let's go back. First of all, right after, so last year when R. Kelly gets indicted and gets arrested on those counts, they somehow or another, I guess, his team I guess, schedules a call. They did show this. And we saw this on social media. His
Yeah.
team scheduled a call, and this hit the blogs. His team scheduled a call with Jocelyn and her parents. The dad wasn't there, but they have the mom and the two younger sisters. And so they state that I think it was Geronda Pace that told them, if you're gonna
Yeah.
try to talk to her, get the youngest sister, the little girl, to actually get on the phone with her, because he's trained us not to go, which that don't make sense. He trained us
Exactly.
never to go against little kids.
Mm-hmm.
So they scheduled a call. She calls in and she's like, listen, first of all, I just want to let you know I'm happy. I've told you all a million times I'm okay where I am, and you all don't need to keep contacting me. So the mom is like, Joycelyn, this is mommy. I just wanted to say I love you. And so then you can see them motioning for the little girl to come in. And she's like, hi,
Mm-hmm.
Joycelyn. And she's like, yeah, what's up?
Yes.
And so she was like, when are you coming home? And she was like, yeah, put her back on the phone.
Yes.
And so then you see the sister trying to talk to her. And she's like, again, I've told you all a million times, I'm happy where I am. And that's it. And then you see the mama telling her, I don't care what anybody says, I always love you. You don't have to listen to anybody else, this, that, and the third. And so they she ends up ending the call abruptly. And then, like you said, it goes to them, outside of the Trump Towers. And again, like you said, they put the daughter up to calling the police, and she's like, she didn't even say, she didn't say she didn't say I want a wellness check. She said I want a well done check or something like
Yeah.
that.
So
on my
sound right.
on my older sister. And so the police, so they ask her, like the 911 dispatcher asked her, why do you feel like she's in some type of danger? And she states, well, it's been reports that she's in an abusive relationship. We haven't seen her for like 2 or 3 years, and yada, yada, yada. So the police come and they meet them out in front of Trump Towers, and the parents tell the police, well, we want the two girls to go with you all. And I'm thinking, like, what parent does that? So y'all sending that little girl, looked like she couldn't have been no more than 10 or 11, so y'all send y'all 10 or 11-year-old daughter to R. Kelly's residence, and ain't no
Yeah.
telling what she was supposed to see when she walked in there.
Right.
And then apparently, I guess they try to go to the residence. The oldest girl, I guess the police tell the parents, the little girl can't come, just the older girl. I guess they get over there, they wouldn't let them in. She comes back across the street crying. And then they do this moment of prayer and silence in the middle of the street. And there you have it.
Yes. So then, that's when we get kind of get to Azrael, where her dad and brother, because we just meet the brother for the first time, and he's piping up, but the Clarys, the brother and the father, they go to same thing, go to Trump Towers, trying to find where she is and stuff like that, because after he get locked up, he's put away. So they're like, okay, now we can finally try to grab her back in here. And again, because he just wants to mend his family back together, Mr. Clary, because again, we mentioned that him and his wife aren't on good terms. I could have told y'all from last year that they were on the same page, because they were dressed for 2 different seasons in the same damn time. So they so they in the situation, they say that Azrael, when it showed what happened with follow-up, they said that Azrael in December, just last month, came back home. And they I guess the father did a Skype interview, and he said that she's back home. We were trying to help her get independent, to get away from the R. Kelly situation, trying to help her grow back into a normal person, Because last time we saw Azriel was a few months ago, and she was still piping up like, yeah, I'm still on R. Kelly's side. That's still my man. That's my boo, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to ride or die for him. And now we see that, according to the interview, that she's back with her family. And that, but we didn't hear anything about the mother, though. We don't know if the mother, if they worked their relationship out, as far as the mother and father. We still don't know. But so now, as of now, it seems like Joycelyn is the only Lone Ranger in the whole Kelly situation. There's some other girls that we haven't been documented or that haven't been seen.
That we don't know about that's
But
there with her.
Joycelyn is the only one that's still ride or die with him. And again, maybe Joycelyn may be from that situation, but she may not want to be with her family because her family been making this a circus bigger than what's supposed to be. I mean, not bigger than it's supposed to be, but they're making it bigger for themselves to be seen in a sense. Because again, why would you have a reality show on YouTube around the time when you're supposed to be trying to?
And like I said, they also, there's talks about some boutiques and things like that they have in Atlanta, and then all of this traction was also to gain, more people coming in and out these shops, because I heard they had a couple that they had to close down because they weren't making any money, they weren't getting any customers. So this is also to kind of gain some business as well.
Yes. So again, we found out in the follow-ups as well that Dominique, we didn't mention the Coco haven't done the show, but Dominique is pregnant with her first child with her boyfriend. It's going to be a baby girl. She said she was hoping for a son, but she's having a girl. And I feel like I always think this too, that you're given the gender of your child to help correct your situation. So this is kind of like, okay, now I'm going to have a daughter, so now I need to really look up, because I've been through some shit. I really need to look up for my daughter now to make sure that she doesn't repeat this cycle, because the cycle got to stop somewhere. So Dominique, even though she's like a stud, she is pregnant, and she has a son or a daughter on the way. And then we get some other stuff too. Of course, like a favorite hair braider. She's now a grandmother.
And she's a nurse, and she's now, like you said, a grandmother, and then she's also helping other survivors. And my question was, helping them do what? But
braid hair. But
yes.
anyway,
And then Geronda Pace, I think she is now married. I think she is they said she's like a kindergarten teacher. And she is also married and expecting her husband. They're expecting their first child together.
Well, I think that third, because she's been married, because I remember she was on The Real, so I think it's the third child together, because she was, she's been married, so it's their third child together.
Oh,
now I didn't want to pass judgment, because you can tell who people are in their profession, how they look. Now, I didn't want to pass judgment, but Geronda, who she also said they had a suicide pact, that if he was ever to go to jail, they were supposed to kill themselves, or she had some pills set aside in the Revco bottle that she was supposed to take, that if he ever went to jail or taken away, that she was supposed to kill herself as well. Good thing she didn't, but basically Geronda, she has this could you mention her hair, like how it's like she got hair pulled up and it's like a fro ponytail or something? Yeah, the pre-K teacher starter kit look. And I didn't want to pass judgment on that, but she do like a pre-K teacher, the way she was looking and dressed. But anyway, so, but Geronda Price, again, like we said before, she was, and from the last special as well, she is the one who was the 15-year-old who was out there campaigning that R. Kelly's innocent.
Yeah, all at the damn trial instead of taking her ass to school.
Exactly.
And that's teaching somebody children. Okay.
Yeah, because her mother didn't give a damn about her. So again, now she has daughters. So again, that cycle of, okay, I need to correct my wrongs. So now to make sure that they're okay and they won't do the same things I went through. Because like she said, her mother didn't give a damn if she was at school or not. But here she is at with different wigs on, trying to look like an adult, and wearing R. Kelly wife beaters and shit with his picture on it, and basically campaigning and championing him at his court cases when you should be in school. Without, I don't know what the truancy officers were, but here you are piping up at his court cases outside saying free R. Kelly, and now you want him in jail. But Uh, but then the other interesting thing too, that even from looking at this whole thing, I kept thinking about this too. But Lizette, Martina, she made an interesting point where she said that, and some of the other girls too, but she basically said that she still loves R. Kelly. Like, she's not going to front about it. She still loved that man, but she loved the little boy that they thought they knew. Like, of course, the part where they built that bond up with all the girls, that he was molested as a child, sexually abused as a child, um, basically going through all these things as a child. That's who they, the vulnerable side of Robert Sylvester. That's who they. That's who they love. That's who she loved. The monster, she don't love that part, but she loved the part of the vulnerable man who had these childhood traumas. And I was like, you know what? That's to be expected, because all these girls have had this connection with him in some sort of way where they actually did love him.
And
And
here's the other thing. You can tell that all these girls is fucked up and messed up.
yeah,
Because
and that's the part too.
again, my mama would have shit. My mama even let me go down the street at 15 years old, let alone run off and go into the mall by myself, because Lizette Martinez met him in the mall.
Yeah.
So I wasn't allowed to be going to no mall and hanging out with no good girlfriends at 13, 14, 15, not even, well, maybe 16, but certainly not 15 years old. So
I mean,
let alone me going off and then saying, hey, mom, I think I'm going to move to a whole nother state with a grown ass man. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
I wouldn't live to tell about it to this day. You see what I'm saying? So these girls
Yeah.
had some fucked up childhoods or whatever, and some traumatic experiences that I would probably, again, that's just not normal living for me, because again, I wasn't raised in that type of household. I couldn't even walk down the street by myself, so let alone hanging out at the mall and then going to some man house. Now again, I ain't gonna lie, I tried it at 11, 12 years old, and you see where that got me.
Uh-huh. Well, shit, I wouldn't be hanging at no malls too, at Coliseum Mall, no damn Mercury Mall, no
What the
damn.
hell up? You see what I'm saying? Yeah, I couldn't go no Coliseum and be hanging out New Market Square and all that shit. I would not be able to do that. So I can't imagine coming home and telling my mama that I'm gonna run off with some grown ass man to a whole nother state and live, and my mama would be okay with that. So again, like that stuff, I'm just not accustomed to that. So
Yeah.
that was just not the norm in my house.
Exactly, and you could, like we always, like we said this last time, everybody's raised different, people parent different, as obvious as, because I have sisters, they never had to go through any situations like this, and so you just, people parent in a different way where they allow their kids that freedom to do whatever they want to. A man who was in the news, that was known for years to have sexually abused little girls, who was on video abusing little girls, who on legal document showed that he married a 15-year-old in the article in the magazine, and y'all still allow your kids, or even just not checking on your kids, to be like, okay, why are you not home with this, like that, or calling the police and saying, filing a missing child report, having the police find your child, bring them home. Like, all that stuff could have been avoided, but they were missing something at home to where they confided in this man to be their savior in a sense. So, and then I was looking at social media and, going through my mentions and stuff like too. And so, like, just the news and everything was such a different time then, because R. Kelly, had social media been out at that time, oh, he would have been locked away back then. Because cancel culture is stronger as hell now. But back then, like we said before, if Wendy Williams said it, it was just like, oh, she just gossiping, she just talking this, that. But then everything that she said has come to light. Or with the tapes, that whole tape came out 2002. Is on video evidence. He passed this little girl money, urinating on this little girl. There was a whole second tape too. I don't know if it's somebody's wife or whoever, or another little girl. But there was another tape of him in this red robe, and he was eating this girl out. That, who knows who child that was? But it was video footage out there, and y'all grown ass men buying child pornography. That's another story for another day. But this all this has been evidence since then, and no one did anything. And I think that the only reason why now, because we have more vocal people who are saying, you know what, that was fucked up what R. Kelly was doing. Because, like, I had a conversation with my little sister the other night before the special came on, and we were just like, she was, basically said, you know what, he been doing all this for so long, and we still dancing to Step in the Name of Love, Ignition, the Chocolate Factory album came out, Chapter in the Closet, all of this stuff in between his 8 years where he was still in trial for those charges, and the charges got dropped, but everyone still acted like everything was normal. No one prosecuted him. No one said, oh no, he's canceled. No one did anything like that. But now we're in an era where people are more aware of things, and people are more of like, you know what, that was not right. And that's what people question about the music, and should we still support his music? And then they made a mention too in the special, one of the old Jive Records executives basically said, hey, you know, he's written for all these people, like written and collaborated with all these people. So there's a difference where we try to
And
see
he was
about
talking
him.
about, Gaga, are you going to give, for all the record sales that you made and all the sales that you made behind that song that he wrote, are you going to give the money back?
Exactly. Because again, and we mentioned this last time too, because like, okay, how do we differentiate, or can we differentiate the artist and the not even the allegations, because they're not even allegations at this point, but the things that he has done, can we differentiate that between him and the artist, who he is? Because again, like they said, there's one thing we could do about muting R. Kelly music itself, his music, but you gotta remember R. Kelly's written for so many people like Michael Jackson, Britney Spears, Whitney Houston, Gaga, Celine Dion.
Yeah, and just like he said, and every time we hear "Don't Stop Saying Good Enough," keep on, we dance.
Yeah, and Michael Jackson, even though he was acquitted of those things, and now we come to find out those little boys were lying, but it still was, he had those allegations against him.
Every
But
Halloween, we still play Thriller.
yep, and You Are Not Alone. Well, we know what that song is about now from the last time we did this, the last Survivor R. Kelly special. So I can't listen to that song like the same, but it's still a good song though. It's still a song that I actually like, one of my favorite Michael Jackson songs. So now,
Yeah, so and I don't think we can. To answer your
yeah,
question, and just to be frank and honest, I don't think we can.
yeah,
Think we can differentiate between R. Kelly, the artist, and R. Kelly,
the
the
user.
PP Slayer.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
So,
not gonna even front, like I'm not gonna front, like, so I haven't listened to any R. Kelly since we vowed on the show, like, okay, we're not probably not gonna listen to R. Kelly. I haven't listened to any R. Kelly music solo since the Surviving R. Kelly special last year. I will say the music that he's written, like he's written so many good songs, like Jennifer Hudson's Where You At. That's really good, that song. He wrote that. Whitney Houston's I
and they
Look to
play
You.
that
He
on
wrote
her
that.
show all the time. That
Yeah, so
where you at? Yeah. So
So
yeah,
I
I
still
haven't.
the songs he had written and produced for other people, but as far as him, I haven't listened to his music in per se. But the music he's written for other people, yeah, I have. I'm not gonna lie, cause they still good. But the songs that he has written for himself, or I I look at it differently now, because no telling where his mind was when he was writing some of those songs, like we said before. But again, that's what everyone has their different ways to listen to. Like my sister, she said she's still gonna listen to R. Kelly. I looked at her with a side eye, but she said she's still gonna listen to R. Kelly. But I mean,
Your sister is
like I said,
also a Zeta.
is that?
She's also a member of Zeta Phi Beta. Yeah.
But I said that I'm
My
still
mouth, I guess
going
all the Zetas will come at me.
y'all deltas too. But so I see some deltas at the R. Kelly concert. But anyways, probably supported the bail fund and whatnot.
Okay, yeah.
But but yeah, so again, everyone had a different relationship with his music and his 'cause again, it's no lie, he was creatively a genius with how he was writing and stuff like that, but it's the other stuff behind the scenes that looks a little sketchy. But anyways, so that happened. Then the other part too was the Surviving Lives situation. So there was two employees that we mentioned earlier. It was two white women. They were the only two white women who were going so up for R. Kelly. It was surprising to me, because you would think white women, you thinking they're going to be the ones who would be like, hashtag Me Too, even though Tarana Burke, she was the one who created the Me Too movement, the black woman. But you would think, white women always be very feminist and very like, oh no, Harvey Weinstein, all this, that, and the other. But these two women, they were really like all up, so basically up for R. Kelly. So I'm trying to remember what the girls' name were, but the two ladies, they were both sisters actually.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and they were part of his
his executive staff, if you
yeah,
will.
that team. One of those girls looked like they were pregnant, but
Yeah,
you
the one in the
know,
green
they said
dress.
so. They said they support surviving lives.
Yeah. So, Lindsay Perryman Dunn, she said she has worked as manager and personal assistant from '99 to 2007, and she said that she regarding the Surviving Lives social media pages, that the women I saw in the docuseries were the type of women that Robert would have picked, and what they're upset about is that they didn't get the limelight until they were on Lifetime television. Then her sister Jen Emmerich, who's also former staffer, says that she coached Kelly to start sharing his side, and that she began defending him online using the hashtag mute R. Kelly hashtag in response to the mute R. Kelly movement that went viral after the documentary. She went on to say, "No one wanted to listen to me unless I said something bad about R. Kelly because that was the popular thing to do." While the sisters claimed to not know about the start of the Surviving Lives pages, they both said they supported it. The sister said, "I don't
Yeah,
believe that
because
I was
they
part
started
of
them.
that with pedophilia." And I looked at you because the girl had the whole face and everything, like, yeah, I haven't had anything to do with the page, but I support it. Makes me think you did probably
Yeah,
was behind the
started,
page.
but I guess everybody has their take, and they show various people, and a lot of them look like us.
Mm-hmm.
Was just saying that they were gonna continue to listen, like your sister said they
Yeah.
were gonna continue to listen. He ain't never done nothing to them. Um, they don't believe it. A lot of people say that that the parents were to blame. Um,
Mm-hmm.
regarding the situation, what the situations that happen in these old bitches like Kitty and that McGee girl and
That sounds
and the
fair.
hair braider, Asante
Mm.
McGee and the hair braider, and child, it judge from that hair braider, you see that he does not discriminate.
Exactly. He has
And,
no type.
and
Shot.
we just and that other one that other one too.
Yeah, the other Latino looking one.
Yeah, we had never seen her, so
Yeah, the one, the court reporter now.
yeah, so he definitely did not discriminate, but I don't know, but do you believe he did it? I believe that there is a lot of truth behind what these women are saying. We just gonna see what happens come March 2020.
Yes. And I like I always say I believe because the evidence has been there for so long. So definitely I believe he did it, but now it's just trying to get down to why the girls felt comfortable enough to really take it there because again you have to look at it from a different side as well and not blaming the victims again, but you got to think about it when you're young at that age. I think I said this in the first special we did too. When you're at that age and R. Kelly's the popping thing, you're like, okay, this is R. Kelly. When girls they see a celebrity they really like, they fantasize about doing whatever they want to them. It's like, okay, I got this opportunity. This is R. Kelly, so now I get to live my fantasy with R. Kelly. And you think it's just gonna be like a one-time situation, then you get really invested and deep, and then he started doing his manipulation with you, and it's kind of like now you're stuck, and now you're in this abusive situation that you had no regard or had no
Jedi
idea.
Matrix, but
Yeah,
I guess the only thing is he wasn't popping. That's just what I
yeah.
don't like.
Well, I
He
mean, like the ones from the early '90s, like he was public announcement, going to
well,
12 play,
yeah,
R hours and stuff
yeah.
like that. Now, this new generation of girls who were trapped up, I don't know what y'all were looking at because,
The Azriels and the Jocelyn Savages of the world. Yeah,
yeah,
I don't understand that. As Asante McGee and um Kitty and even the hair braider, be
mm-hmm.
May. Because Asante McGee said that she was a super fan to the point that if you said anything negative against him, you would get put out her house. Um,
Yeah,
so because you know they look like they were older than me, so I know they know
mm,
they were
knew
around when
good.
he was making the hits or whatever.
Yeah,
girl was damn near 40 when she met him. That kitty girl.
Yeah. So again, it's so many different moving parts
You
to.
two ought to be quitting your job to chase after some man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Goodness.
like you said, it's just so many moving parts. Hopefully this is the last documentary.
Exactly. I feel like I don't know why I feel like it's gonna be another part next year, but now the
Well,
Rob um the Faith family. Now, first off, y'all meeting somebody in the parking lot of a damn Applebee's who got video footage on your daughter. Now that was a little bizarre too, because the fact that y'all going to a damn Applebee's in New York City for one to meet up with somebody who got footage on your daughter, I
the
would just get.
drops of news. Yeah.
Yeah, I would just get a tape. I'd be like, "Look, shit, leak the shit." Because first off, you're in the wrong anyways. Because you're young, you fucking with R. Kelly, and you lied to your parents. So that's your punishment to begin with. That would have been the Christian. But that's how I would parent. That's not here nor there, though. But again, it's so many different things that have transpired since that one special from last year, and now a whole slew of things. Like we said, R. Kelly first trial for New York is I think it's Chicago is in April, and the one for in Brooklyn for New York state charges that's in May, and then there's some other charges, other counties and different things that he has to deal with later this year as well. But he's still stuck in jail, complaining about hernias and whatnot. I hope he getting his STD herpes medication and everything in jail. I've heard of anyone beating him up yet, so he's still safe and solitary, being secluded and whatnot. But again, it's just crazy how one special has sparked all of this to finally happen when this should have been happening years ago. But hey, I guess it's those things are better late than never. Just like old Bill Cosby. It took him 50 years to finally get caught up, and look where he is now, actually in jail, bumping in the trees and shit, walking with canes, trying to act like he blind. But okay.
Yeah,
Anyway.
it's something, I tell you. So we are following. Like I said, it probably will be another documentary, and probably once kind of we determine what's going to be the outcome of these trials and things like that. But
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
shit.
I just hope hair braider, you should sit on a Yana's wicker chair and speak your life or something to get your life fixed. Because she might end up on the next special finally fixed or whatever. But again, I think just for the girls, even Kitty said this is her last interview. She's not speaking on this shit no more. That is it. She's done. And I hope it's the same for you all girls too. But I know you all gotta speak the truth and go on your tours and stuff like that to be inspiration and empowering, except for hair braid. I don't want to be empowered by someone that still needs to be empowered herself. But I hope that all of you
But it
all.
said she helping survival. I said it helping them do what exactly?
But I hope that everybody has gotten to a place where they can heal from this, because it's still a lot to take in, because you all have been silent for so long, and then for you all to be able to tell your truth. And again, that's why it's hard for Black people or people of color to be able to come out and express themselves, because they did get backlash from people like, so why you fuck with him, or why did you do this to begin with, or this, that, and the other. But abuse comes in so many different terms and so many different ways that it's not for everyone to really understand, except for the people who have actually gone through it. So I commend you all for actually speaking out and speaking your truth, and be able to, in the process, heal from that too, even though it's going to take some time still to this day, because it's all new stuff that's rehashed and resurfacing for you all to have to live through. I'm happy that you all are speaking out and being able to, heal and grow from this to where you can finally be at complete peace with it. So, shout out to you all, and, surviving R. Kelly. And so I do, on social media, like I said, me and Monique are always on social media. So, we're going to continue to, and even on the show, we're going to continue to update you all. If you got something to say or something
Yeah.
to, y'all want to fight back, whatever,
Yeah.
follow us on
I
Twitter.
say definitely, tweet us your thoughts. You can follow me at Cookie Love 1980. You can follow Reggie at Mr. Doc.
Yes. So people, we definitely are happy that we came back, and this is the most opportune time to do it, because it's we did the show last year and we're doing it again because
Yeah.
it
Definitely a conversation piece.
Yeah, so thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you listen to us again, everybody, on Anchor. Listen to us on Apple Music Podcasts. Listen to us on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast at. People, because I was just actually Googled our show, I think the other day, because I was looking at for our R. Kelly topics that we ever talked about. And so there's a lot of other streaming platforms out there too that our show is on, but I just don't know the names of them. But they're
And
up there.
there actually, I know I've Googled us a couple of times, and there
Yeah.
are some pictures, and pictures up of when we used to do the YouTube shows. So
Yeah.
there.
And like I said, too, if we're going to bring the YouTube back, we just got to find the right show to, because we try to do it with Welcome to Platteville, and Google has canceled Hangouts, so we got to find another alternative. But we will be coming back with the live shows up there too, people. But again, make sure you check us out, subscribe to the show, like us. We still have a 5-star rating right now on Apple, so make sure you continue to like our show and whatnot, people. But thank you all for tuning in, and y'all have a good rest of y'all day and night, everybody. A good rest of your new year, and we'll be back with new episodes, everybody. So thank you again. Don't bust people's heads with bottles.
Use your words, people. Use your motherfucking words. And I would like to say, to whom our blessings fall, fuck you, bitch.
That's because people, Monique is using her words, because that is bad news star right there, people. So thank you all for tuning in. We'll check you out next time, everyone. Peace.